There are a lot of CBD bro grass videos, but these ones are the most popular and probably the best, also educational. So grab some popcorn, maybe some grass, and enjoy. Let's go.
Vaping versus smoking. Both activities extremely similar to the naked eye, yet in reality, these lung-destroying practices are quite different. The same way smoking used to be a very niche thing, mostly done by hippies in the 1960s to 1970s, so was vaping in the 2000s to early 2010s. Yet both smoking and vaping slowly but surely took over the world, to where nowadays you'll be walking down the street and see a dude puffing on a strawberry ice guacamole stick on one side, and on the other see a bunch of college kids sitting on a bench eyes squinting like they got hit with a flashbang, holding the Teenage Mutant Ninja card screaming blinker! And although a lot of times a vapor can also be a smoker and the other way around, I'm here to try and figure out which one of these practices is definitively superior to the other, so you can once and for all say to the opposing faction, at least I don't vape, or at least I don't smoke. So let's get started with the first category, and that is the effect. This is probably the most important category, because if you're going to damage your lungs and throat by inhaling a foreign substance, it better be at least a fun time. Which I think we can all agree, this is where smoking and vaping are completely different. With vaping, the high you get, if you can even call it that, is a buzz in your body, lightheadedness, bit of an increase to your social battery, and of course a small dopamine boost. But here's the kicker, you only feel this effect like the first couple times you do it, and later mostly only in the morning on your first puffs. So the action of vaping just kind of becomes a mindless habit where you're doing it not for the effect, but just because your body is telling you,
hey, it's been like 30 minutes, you should really go and rip that 99 Nick strawberry mango punch.
Whereas the high you get from the grass is actually what you're inhaling it for, and although the effects vary from person to person, they usually consist of better mood, increased appetite aka the munchies, laughter, the increased significance of your thoughts, creativity, laziness, sleepiness, etc. But also, these effects are felt for much longer, of about 2 to 4 hours, compared to vaping, which is literally like 10 seconds. So if you look at it straight up, then smoking absolutely takes this category with ease. But then again, for people who are prone to getting paranoid and need everything planned out, the high from the za isn't guaranteed to be enjoyable, cause I mean, you can just green the fuck out. Whereas with vaping, you can't really get a bad trip, cause I mean, there is no trip. You're just sitting puffing on your mango stick doing whatever you're doing. But all in all, I'ma still go with the za on this one. So 1-0 smoking. Now let's look at the cost. Whether you want to inhale Chinese sweatshop chemicals that taste like strawberries or the devil's lettuce, it's gonna cost you. But the question is, which one is more expensive at every level of consumption? Well, let's look at it. Level 1 for vapors would be you just buy a dispo every week or so, which comes out to about $20 to $40 a month. And level 1 for smokers, I'd say it's about the same if you just blaze up on the weekends. So far, they're tight on cost, but now if you move up to level 2, which I think for vaping, it now indicates you're addicted and spending anywhere between $80 to $100 on dispos a month. For the za, level 2 would be smoking up once or twice every night at the end of your day, which although you're technically smoking every day, I don't think you'll be spending more than $100 a month. So it looks like smoking is edging it out. Well, that's until the next level, where most vapors probably buy themselves a box mod, which is the equivalent of buying a car instead of taking a taxi everywhere. And on the other end, here's where smoking za can get a bit more expensive. At level 3, you blazing 24/7, and you're high not just at the nighttime when you're done with your day, but also when you're going through your day. And because of that, your tolerance has gone up a lot, to the point you having to spend over $200 a month just to continue your za smoking, which don't let it get that far. Please, it's really not worth it. And at level 3 vaping, because you can just get a box mod eco Nick machine, your costs ain't really go up that much. Shit, it might have even gone down. So basically, at the higher echelon of being a Nick fiend, it's much cheaper than being a 24/7 high stoner. Which would mean vaping wins, right? Well, technically, yeah, but to be honest, is it really a good thing you can puff on your lung cancer strawberry ice machine for so cheap? I don't think so, and honestly, I'm kinda happy about how if you smoke up 24/7, your tolerance will evolve to a point you have to drop a bag every month just to keep up with your dependency. That being said, I'ma have to leave it at a tie here. 2-1 smoking grass. Now it's time for Addictiveness. I think this one's a no-brainer. Nicotine is obviously more addictive, right? Well, yeah, but there are some more aspects to this comparison, like the fact even if you're completely addicted to nic, you can go about your everyday life just the same, cause it doesn't make you slower mentally, nor lazy, nor paranoid. It's just slowly but surely giving you lung cancer. But with ZA, if you really start abusing that shit, it'll affect your everyday life, cause it can lower motivation, make you less driven, slower mentally, and hazy. But all of that is only if you let yourself get that far, which is much harder than with nic. Cause the ZA is just less addictive than the mango stick, meaning with vaping it can literally take just one puff to get you hooked, but with the ZA it's more like an experience. So although you might have a great time your first high, you won't be in the school bathrooms the next day like,
Yo, you think you can give me a couple puffs off that? Haven't did anything in hours. Really? Give me that!
okay, it's not that bad, but be wary. Nicotine fiends, they'll do anything for a puff off that elf bar. For real. Anyway, this point goes to the grass yet again because of its much less addictive nature. 3-1 smoking. But maybe this next category will ignite a comeback for vaping. Availability. Nic sticks are sold everywhere, from gas stations to smoke shops to some grocery stores. And on the other hand, the Zaza, if you're in the United States, where let's be honest, you probably are, you can get them at dispensaries or your local Pablo Escobar, the plug. Which unfortunately, dispensaries are more of a luxury that only legal state citizens in the US are afforded, and for the rest of us, we have to deal with the lawless, sometimes sleazy creatures called plugs. I mean, for real, why the fuck do I, a law-abiding citizen, have to deal with criminals on a weekly basis just because I wanna relax and eat some double-stuffed Oreos on a Friday night? But if I wanna get shit-faced drunk and go outside with the homies committing 3 counts of disrupting the peace, 4 counts of destruction of public property, and 58 counts of,
Yo, what's that guy looking at? He got a problem?
then that's totally fine. So I think we can all agree vaping takes this one. 3-2. Now time for a category which will either tie it up or secure the major Tate W for smoking, and that is the community. Vape Nation versus yeah man. Or at least that's the stereotype. In reality, it ain't really like that. Although from my experience, vapors are more extroverted because they're always vaping in a circle in the damn bathroom, chit-chatting about their flavors. And smokers are more introverted and chill, who would rather sit down and play some modded Minecraft with the homies than go to the club. Oh, and if you're looking for a place where you can find more people like that, then why not join the CBD Bro Discord? We also just hit 5k members, so join the revolution, the weed revolution. Anyway, this could be biased because I'm a smoker myself, but I personally think the Zaza community is better than the vaping. Although I really don't like grass NPCs who make the Za their whole personality, these dudes are pretty easily spottable and avoidable. But I mean, vapors got the same thing. Imagine standing in a circle, everybody puffing on their dispo, and then some dude pulls out the Vaporizer Ultra 3000i Max, fully equipped with 8 flavors, a touchscreen, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth capability. I think the exact same thing that I do with grass NPCs. That's a bit too much, man. Anyway, 4-2. Smoking wins. But hey, that might just be mine, CBD Bro's opinion. So comment down which of these health deteriorating activities you prefer. And see ya in the next one. I think we've all bought from the plug at least once. But for all my homies who live in countries or states where the Zaza still remains forbidden, you have most likely encountered many of them. And well, you know that no two are ever the same. One day you'll meet up with the most savage, straight out of jail, carrying a bazooka in his back pocket looking mofo, and then 1 week later hit up your boy Jimmy the Plug God, and he'll have you pulling up to his nice suburban household like,
Yeah, man, so how's it going? Yeah, good? Okay, here's the kush. Okay, thanks. Goodbye.
Anyway, here are the 5 types of plugs you'll most likely encounter on your journey to get the magic spice. Number 1. The plug who thinks he's an entrepreneur.
This is the guy who'll be straight marketing and promoting his illegal business like he was some dropshipping guru. Like, bro, I don't know if it's a good idea to be flexing your fat stacks on your personal IG and writing captions like, 5-0 don't know what I'm on, can't stop a young king from thriving, hashtag drug money, hashtag trap king. I know a couple of these plugs, and the one thing they always have in common is the inherent and uncontrollable desire to flex on anything and anyone. Just a couple weeks ago, I bought from one of these guys, and in the span of the 3-minute long transaction we had, I learned the following things. Firstly, how much money he made this week. Secondly, that he is moving on to more profitable substances. And thirdly, on how he plans to launder his fat stacks. Like, bro, aren't dealers supposed to be more discreet? Talking about being the local Pablo Escobar? Like, pretty sure Pablo Escobar wasn't trapping $20 worth of kush in a 2002 Honda Civic, my man. Number 2. The plug that's only dealing to fund his party lifestyle. This is the guy that went to every single party in high school and just wasn't quite ready to move on. So now he is a part-time construction worker, full-time plug. These guys are some of the chillest dealers there are, cause they don't really take their job too serious. The biggest downside to buying from these types of plugs is that they are really unreliable. So just cause they told you, yeah, I got the stuff, write me again in 4 hours, then I'm free, doesn't mean that you'll be getting gas anytime soon. Cause when you do write him again in 4 hours, there's about a 80% chance they'll be already drunk and high at some local club sending Snapchat stories like, Number 3. The tries his hardest to act gangsta plug. This is the type of dude that'll have you pulling up to the most ridiculous places to secure the kush. Like, why the hell are we meeting at the abandoned sawmill at midnight and you're telling me, come alone? Like, bro, this isn't some Jackie Chan movie where we're doing some multi-million-dollar arms deal. I just wanna buy a eighth, bro. But shit, got me thinking, what if I do go all Jackie Chan on him? Next thing I know, I got 10 thugs popping out of the sawdust with AR-15s pointed at my head. All because he gave me 0.2 grams less, and I dared to test his gangster. Nah, but for real, these dudes are pretty reliable and usually sell quality stuff. But for some reason, they're always on about the crimes they've committed. Like, bro, you're really flexing the fact that you were arrested last night and will be serving 2 years minimum. My man, that sounds awful. Are you okay, bro? Need someone to watch the kids or something? Number 4. The why are you trapping, bro? This guy has it all. His parents are wealthy, he lives in a nice house, he gets to drive his dad's Rolls Royce, yet for some reason, he has decided it is in his best interest to start selling kush. Like, no complaints from me, bro. I love hopping in the back of this $200,000 car just to buy $20 worth of Zaza. But couldn't you just drive like some premium Uber or something? You'd probably make more money, plus, you know, it's legal. Nah, but for real, why they actually trap is cause they just wanna get hoes and be respected as a true gangsta. Even though I can never take them seriously. Like, bro, why you acting so thug? You do know if you ever short me, I'm just gonna tell your dad and he'll send you to boarding school, right? Number 5. The middle school trapper. Now this is the dude that only started trapping to fund the copious amounts of THC he smokes on a daily basis. And to be honest, I kinda respect the hustle. I mean, it is kinda funny buying from these dudes though, hitting them up like, then you pull up and they're always like at least 200 feet away from where they actually live cause they don't wanna get caught by their mama. But because these dudes usually smoke their own product, they always gotta comment about what you're getting.
Stuff hits different, bro. It's more of a body high. Or, man, this'll get you real messed up.
Or even sometimes,
yeah, man, I put in a little more cause this isn't as good as the last stuff.
So yeah, basically what I'm saying is that these guys are the most trustworthy plugs there are, so you don't ever need to be worried about being scammed. Only downside is that these plugs are very temporary, meaning they usually quit trapping in about 3 to 6 months. Probably cause they mama beat him or something.
Timmy, what is this?
Oh, that's nothing, mama. You ain't gotta worry about that.
I know what it is. It's from the devil. Get over here, Timmy.
No, mama. Don't. Leave me alone.
Ever wonder why some dudes can inhale that freshly cut grass an unholy amount of times with eyes so red you think dude is bleeding internally on some exorcist shit, but when asked, how you feeling, bro? They'll respond with something like, or, honestly, could go for one more J. Well, the reason for a response like that is due to their grass smoker power. which, contrary to popular belief, isn't all about tolerance. Although that can be an important factor, it isn't everything. So Randy, who's 30 years old and has been on a tea break for 2 years now, but has been consistently inhaling that grass for the entirety of his adult life, will be much less likely to freak out over some stupid shit than, for example, Jimmy here, who's been getting high for 2 months straight every day and claims himself a Za God. The reason for that is, Jimmy, although his tolerance is almost maxed out, still can't handle the fade in a situation even remotely out of his comfort zone. All that being said, we all start off on Level 1.
Bro, I think it was laced.
Level 1, the good old times where the Za was still mysterious and scary. This is the level you're at if you've inhaled that magic spice only a couple times, and only so in the safest, securest, and good vibey situations possible. And honestly, while at this level, you couldn't even imagine doing anything besides eating Doritos and scrolling YouTube shorts whilst blasted, cause you just haven't gotten used to the feeling the green bestows upon you. That being the increase in significance of every thought and action, and because you don't know how to control it, your experiences with weed are mostly in your own head. So when you high, you can't focus on shit. Like really, the only thing that seems to catch your attention for more than 10 seconds is that sweet, sweet flavor on those Sour Patch Kids that you never knew could explode in your mouth like that. Now, depending on if you getting blasted solo or with friends will determine your speed of leveling, cause usually if you with friends, you get used to the Za more quickly because you're socializing. Plus, you know, there's always that one guy in the group that likes to mess with the newbies by getting them as high as possible and then being like, hey guys, let's go to the gas station. Which might seem whatever, but if it's your first time, you might just have a damn panic attack at that 7-Eleven. Cause I swear, everybody is looking at you, and the cashier, he's onto you. Yeah, fuck that guy. Anyway, if you keep on eating grass, you'll move on to Level 2. I am the Zaza God. Remember Jimmy, the self-proclaimed Zaza God? Yeah, well, he ain't quite the Za God he believes himself to be. To be honest, he barely a Za foot soldier. Cause it's all good and fine if he gets blasted up to Mars in the comfort of his own home, but take that comfort away and you'll most likely find him walking behind the group on his own looking like a lost puppy. And the reason for that is, my man's thought that he's been high so many times he can be high anywhere, which sadly isn't the case. Think of tolerance as the size of your dick. It can be massive, destructive in nature, and uncontrollably powerful. But what does that matter if all you use it for is to jerk off? Same with tolerance, it's situational, so you can be unfazed by the Za in the comfort of your own home, but as soon as that comfort is taken away, you a total noob again. Instead of focusing on the size of his T, Jimmy should have been focusing on upping his riz and going out and pulling some quality baddies, if you get what I mean. I'd say going from this level to the next is one of the biggest steps in between levels, cause to confidently say you a Za God, you should be able to keep your cool in most public situations, even if everybody is staring at you and every car with a hint of blue is a FBI agent ready to take you away for good. You gotta be chill, like a cucumber. And if you do study the cucumber enough while bugging off the broccoli, you might just advance to Level 3, Transformer Optimus Prime. This level is called Transformer because it's the level where your Zaza adventures completely transform. Instead of only smoking up at the comfort of you or your friend's home, you can now make plans in somewhat chill public areas like fast food places, cinemas, the park, the spa, or really anywhere where you know people will most likely be minding their own business. And because of this newfound power, you probably have also started blazing that green more, which depending on the type of person you are, it could start affecting your everyday tasks and goals negatively because although hard to admit, the Zaza can and will make you a lazy mofo if you let it. But as I said, it all depends on the shape of your character, so if you can control the inherent laziness the Za tries to curse you with and still keep on rolling with your goals without becoming a Dorito munching World of Warcraft playing stay-at-home hobgoblin, at some point you'll move on to Level 4. Yeah, to be honest, I'm high right now. Welcome to the ultimate purgatory and struggle of a consistent Za enjoyer. As I said before, you only advance to this level if you didn't become a Star Wars lore arguing Prime Dumbledore admiring League of Legends playing high stay-at-home goblin.
Wait, why are you Star Wars lore all the time? And I love Dumbledore.
Well, at least I don't play League of Legends. Anyway, as I was saying, it's quite hard to make it to this level, and even harder to stay here, because nowadays you are so used to doing stuff while blasted, you could theoretically be in that state 24/7. But the problem is, you also know being high 24/7 is expensive. Plus, even if you don't notice, I'd say for 95% of people, it makes them less productive as well. So that's why I call it purgatory, because you're constantly pondering the question, should I maybe do a quick hit before doing this? And although I'd love to say I have the answer to that question, I don't. It all depends on you and your situation. So for example, if I had a job interview, I wouldn't do a quick hit. But then again, I know dudes who say the za makes them less nervous and stressed, plus more talkative. So for those people, I'd have to say, go ahead I guess. But if one day you find a definitive answer to the question, should I maybe do a quick rip before this? You'll move on to the final and most elusive level there is. Level 5. Za God. You have entered into your own subconscious and from it dug out answers to humanity's biggest questions like, are we alone? Why are we here? Why is an 80-year-old man running for president again? And of course, should I bang that Benjamin a little bit before heading out? And I'm sorry to inform you guys that I do not know much of this level because I have yet to make it this far myself, and I still have no idea why Joe Biden is running for president again. But I can tell you this much. This is the level that completely transcends tolerance, as you really don't even need to worry about that anymore, cause you know your body to the point you always know what amount is the right amount. Also, you have figured out the perfect formula for working hard and following your dreams, whilst also inhaling that za and being a chill and interesting dude, not just some corporate suck-up. So 10,000 BC, a group of cavemen in the Oki Islands of Japan needed some warmth and wanted to start a fire when they discovered a funny looking green plant and either out of curiosity or desperation took it and inadvertently created history's first ever hotbox. Yet this early grass was not that loud that people be smoking today because as we know over the years the za has been scientifically and artificially cultivated to be much more concentrated in the high it gives. So, although it is funny to think about a group of cavemen purposely starting a fire in a small shelter for the sole purpose of getting faded in a hoe, it is unlikely that it actually ever happened. Yet aside from this iffy recreational stint in Japan, hemp was first commonly used in the lands that are modern day Mongolia and China for more practical uses like eating it. Which after saying that you might be imagining something like this. Yo, what's up? How you doing? Had any fun with those new seeds I gave you?
Yo, nah, I actually came here to give them back. Last night I was looking at the moon and I swear that motherfucker was looking right back at me.
But alas, this probably wasn't the reality because the THC levels in this early cultivated zaza were just really low, but soon the Chinese would discover that the holy plant's fibers were also great for making stuff too, like clothes, paper, and bowstrings. Which turns out hemp fibers were superior to the bamboo ones used by rivaling factions, allowing the Chinese to shoot their arrows much further. So basically, back in the day, if you were having a long distance bow battle and were losing, you might have screamed out, "We need to get closer! These motherfuckers have weed!" Anyway, it wasn't long after mofos realized that the loud wasn't only good for making stuff, it was also great for treating physical maladies. And after a couple thousand years, Emperor Chen Nung, known as the father of Chinese medicine, included the magic plant in his medical encyclopedia under the name Ma. Which, that sounds oddly similar to za, doesn't it? I'm guessing every couple thousand years the first letter changes or something. But now, let's explore the question we're all asking. When exactly did mofos start ripping that shit to get faded? Well, one of the earliest counts is about 2,500 years ago when researchers discovered 10 mini barbecues in a cemetery near modern-day Tajikistan that had residue of burnt cannabis with a much higher concentration of THC than normal, probably meaning it was selectively bred to get you, well, lit. Although this was one of the first counts of people purposely inhaling the broccoli to get high, it was most likely used as part of a ritual to invoke an altered state of mind so you could communicate with spirits. Which shit, dog, I wanna know what these dudes were smoking, cause I ain't never heard of no grass that gets you to the spirit realm. This might have low-key been the last kush Snoop Dogg smoked, cause once you get so high you start communicating with your dead gran-gran, that's when you really might be like,
Okay, I think it's about time I stop smoking this shit.
But although smoking from mini barbecue sounds cool, what's even cooler is doing it from the CBD bro glow in the dark BONG. And right now, for every BONG purchase, you get a free grinder of your choosing. So if you've been waiting for the perfect opportunity to get yourself some CBD bro gear, then right now is that time exactly. Just click the link in the pinned comment or description and get yourself the ultimate late Black Friday deal. But now on to the video. Since cannabis for one reason or another proved to be quite the useful plant, people started trading it around the world as soon as it was domesticated. Which the only people who didn't really fuck with the Zaza were Europeans who preferred getting hammered instead, which is low-key reflected in modern times too, especially in the northern countries where once you turn 18 you can drink as much poison as you want, but if you want a blaze, well, you might be looking at a little bit of jail time, my boy. But now let's quickly go over the uses of cannabis throughout different cultures so we can move on to the modern age, starting with Hindus. They made something called Bang, an edible cannabis paste that had medicinal properties but also got you high. This could be added to a variety of foods and drinks, which this Bang was the preferred food of the Hindu god Shiva, making him in my eyes the god of edibles.
Disclaimer, that was a joke.
Islam. Here the Za was called hashish and was introduced about 1,000 years ago, which hashish wasn't strictly forbidden in the Quran at first, so a lot of Muslims ate it for its medicinal and relaxation properties. But later, Egypt basically banned it, and also the Quran was revisited by many and reinterpreted to include hashish to be banned just like alcohol. The Vikings. These dudes basically used the Za to make rope, sailcloth, and other things, but also for its medicinal properties, mostly to relieve pain, and to date there's no hard evidence that they consumed it for its recreational use, but you know, maybe they should have, because they were quite the horrendous savages and murderers, so it might have made them think a little bit about peace and love. But what about America, England, and the actual global world powers? How did they react to weed? Well, again, like the Chinese, Europeans and Americans at first prominently used the magic green plant in the 16th to 18th century for more practical things like making sailcloth and rope, which the plant itself grew much larger in the New World soil, and combined with the practicality of it, everything started being hemp-derived. Clothes, paper, well, basically anything that required fibers. But the question still remains, when did mofos start smoking that shit to get blasted on the regular? Cause although at some point you, your neighbor, your grandma, your boss, and even George Washington were out here growing weed, wasn't nobody out here rolling them up. Well, until the arrival of Mexicans. The loud version of hemp first arrived in Brazil in the early 1500s by way of enslaved Africans traveling with the Portuguese. And the native South Americans, who are already consuming some other psychoactive substances, quickly started blazing the Zaza too, and its use soon spread across South America and into Mexico, from which in the 1910s is when the loud first spread into the US, via Mexican immigrants escaping the effects of the Mexican Revolution. And almost immediately the good was viewed as a threat, and by 1931, 29 states had banned its use. Although it wasn't really the Zaza that the US didn't fall with, it was unfortunately mostly just racism against Mexican Americans and black citizens of the South, which both these groups were enjoyers of the Za to some regard, so it became a scapegoat for racial bias in the US, and they blamed it for everything from petty crimes all the way to murder. And in 1937, the US completely banned all non-medical use of weed, which all this kind of explains why the mostly peaceful plant has been thrown in the same Schedule 1 category with full-on life-destroying substances like heroin and cocaine. But thankfully, a couple decades later came the hippie movement of the 1960s to 1970s. This is what lightly sparked a comeback for weed, cause unlike before, when the Zaza was mostly smoked by Mexican immigrants and black citizens who the US was massively racist against, the hippie movement had middle-class white American youth start blazing too. Which it was all about love, peace, spirituality, non-violence, and of course, every hippie's favorite, recreational drug use. Although most hippies were all about peace and love, that was quite easy to say when most of them were literally privileged enough to drop out of college, run off with Cassandra in a rainbow van, go on copious amounts of mindset-altering trips, mostly powered by LSD, and then return 10 years later to their parents and have them say,
"It's okay, son. I was young and stupid once too."
Anyway, although the grass was still federally illegal, this didn't really do much cause in 1976, 1 in 8 Americans over the age of 12 admitted to smoking it in the past 30 days. Hippies though were especially interested in cannabis, so much so they went on something called the Hippie Trail, which was basically an excursion by the youths of the world to go over to the Middle East and India, all while riding in magic buses and discovering new ways to get absolutely blasted, such as smoking the concentrated Zaza resin known as hash. But acquiring the Zaza would soon get much harder, because you see, most of it came from Mexico, so in 1969 the US started patrolling the border, and in 1975 they got even more aggressive and started spraying herbicide on Mexican weed plants. And so good old supply and demand made grass prices skyrocket, which a lot of people started then growing the plant themselves in mini greenhouses, closets, bathtubs, storage units, basements, wherever they could. But then in 1982, Mr. Smarty Pants Ronald Reagan took it even a step further by encouraging the streamlined arrest of anyone in possession of an illegal substance, which was really dumb because most of the focus was on pot, all while crack, meth, and heroin were all still being transported and consumed on a regular basis. Even worse, this enforcement seemed to be racially motivated because despite plenty of traffickers and consumers being white, the majority of arrests were Latino and black youths, all while this bizarre over-focus on cannabis allowed the growing opioid epidemic to go unchecked. But thankfully, the US is slowly learning from their mistakes, where today 24 states have legalized the recreational use of marijuana. On top of that, the increased level of research on it has also found multiple medical use cases and can be prescribed to you by special doctors if seen fit. And although the Zaza is still federally illegal and a Schedule 1 drug, the overall perception of it has changed for the better, including in December 2022 when President Biden signed a bill to make it easier for researchers to obtain plants for their studies, which will hopefully accelerate the learning of positive and negative side effects of consuming the ZA even further. But all that aside, the overall vibe towards the loud has gotten a lot more accepting, and these days more and more people view the smoking of the grass not as you being a junkie, but the same way as having a couple beers with the homies on a Friday night and watching some WWE.
Getting high in school was always memorable, cause you knew at any moment things could go south. But that's what made it awesome, always on the edge of your seat, mentally and physically. A couple years ago in high school, me and some friends decided to smoke up before the easiest and chillest class there was, art class. And the way our schedule was, that day we were supposed to be in that class from 10 to 12:30, so we figured it was a golden opportunity to smoke up without any paranoia. Cause man, I swear that teacher was a bot. He gave zero fucks about everything and everyone, meaning you could do whatever you want as long as your test results were aight. And you know your boy was rocking straight A's. Well, maybe not A's, but like, shit, 50% or more on every test. Usually it was exactly 50%, but that's besides the point, fool. For context, so you understand how chill this class really was, it was a normal occurrence for students to literally order food in the middle of class and then be like, "Hey, Mr. Cranberry, can I go to the bathroom real quick?" "Yeah, sure, but just be back before, I don't know, whatever, just come back." Then bang, man walks back into class, 2 pizzas in one hand and a grocery bag in the other. Goes to his seat, and mind, the way this class was built, it was like 3 times 3 tables and chairs, so I'm just watching as these dudes are having a full 2-course dinner with dessert in the middle of class, and my man Mr. Cranberry just doesn't give a fuck whatsoever. Now that you understand what we are dealing with, we can move on to the smoke sesh. So first period is over, we have 20 minutes to get zoink, and that is just what we do. Pretty much all 4 of us, me, Salamander, Branko, and Tommy, had financed this fine Zaza, and Salamander, as the most experienced of the group, was charged with the sacred job of rolling the spliff. We get to our smoke spot, and this man Salamander pulls out the most cartoonishly perfect joint I have ever seen. My man must have been up all night making blueprints, researching, testing rolling papers to finally bring this Mona Lisa of spliffs into existence. And it's right there in front of us, waiting to be consumed. And that's exactly what we did. We had bought an entire gram, and even though there was 4 of us, we were still complete noobs. I mean, Salamander had smoked like 5 times before, so 0.25 grams each, even though I didn't know it at the time, was a lot for us. Anyway, we all get absolutely wasted off this one big ass spliff, and not gonna lie, all that tough guy, "Nah man, I ain't scared, I've smoked before," vanished instantly. We were a bunch of tweakers.
Hey dudes, I don't know if I can do this. I feel like I'm in third person right now and it's freaking me out.
But our boy Salamander was the only one of us to stay even a little calm.
Not gonna lie, I'm low-key tweaking right now too.
But all we gotta do is get to the classroom. Mr. Cranberry is literally a bot. We know this. Get to the class and it's smooth sailing from there. We can play Call of Duty Mobile or some shit on our phones the entire time. Doesn't that sound cool as fuck?
Yeah man, you're right.
Of course I am, fool. Now, we got 10 minutes left. Let's go secure some munch and hop in the safe zone, my dudes. We do a quick 5-minute grocery run, buy an M&M, sparkling water, chips, all the necessities. And after securing that munch, we go to our class. But what awaits us is not what we had hoped for. Mr. Cranberry, our main man, was still there, but there was something else that got us tweaking. The principal of the school was doing one of those checkup things. So she was sitting in the back of the class observing the entire lesson. We were walking to our seats when she was like,
"Hey yo, where the fuck y'all going?"
Nah, she ain't say that, but she said something like, "Hey boys, you look really tired. Your eyes are like really baggy as well. What have you been doing? Were you up all night?"
Shit, what do we say? I don't know. I think she suspects us. Man, I'm gonna go to jail. I don't wanna, Mama. I don't wanna.
When out of nowhere, "Yes, Miss Crumblebottom, you got us. We stayed up all night studying for today's chemistry tests. We know we should have studied a little bit every day instead of cramming it all into one night, but you know us, Miss Crumblebottom. We're a bunch of procrastinators."
What? What the fuck?
This man Salamander turned into James Bond. Man was smoother than Michael Jackson, with the English vocabulary as his weapon and the combined will of all 4 of us soinked musketeers. He somehow talked us out of that situation with Miss Crumblebottom, thinking better of us. She giggled and was like, "Oh, you boys, can't be mad at you for studying now, can I? Just get to your seats and don't let this chemistry test distract you from the lesson at hand."
Yes, Miss Crumblebottom, we won't.
Bro, you're a fucking wizard. If it wasn't for the MVP Salamander, we'd all be on the floor having a panic attack right now. But there's still more to do. Because of the principal, our boy Mr. Cranberry is sweating his balls off trying to act like a serious teacher. Mans gave us a worksheet. A goddamn worksheet. In all my 1.5 years of this teacher's class, I ain't never gotten no worksheet.
In 20 minutes, we'll start reading the answers out loud, starting from that table there.
Ah, shit. We're baked out of our minds, and now we gotta fill this damn worksheet and read it out loud. Things ain't looking good, but we come up with a plan. We was gonna split the work, so each of us had to answer just 2 questions instead of 8. So 20 minutes goes by, and the time comes to say our answers out loud.
Cubism is an art form originally derived from, The Crisis of the Decepticons and Optimus Prime. Mr. Bro, is this a joke? That answer makes no sense.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cranberry. I must have answered the wrong questions.
Okay. Everybody at your table has the wrong answers then? I believe so. I think so. Okay, let's move on to the next table then.
We were able to act normal enough for the first part of this lesson, and once the bell rang, we bolted out the room to have an emergency meeting.
Boys, what do we do?
I don't know, man. Should we just go home? Nah, the principal there. We can't just go home. Okay. All we gotta do is survive for 1 more period and we're good. We did it once already. We can do it again.
You're right, bro.
Let's do this. Then bang! We walked in the classroom with the confidence of our top G Salamander, and Miss Crumblebottom was nowhere to be seen. So we asked the students in the class, and they said that she had left to observe another class. We were back in heaven. Mr. Cranberry was as chill as a sloth again, and we had an entire period of fun ahead of us. We ended up playing Call of Duty Mobile and munching on our snacks the entire time, and it was fun as fuck, especially because we really felt like we had gone through a war, and that we deserved this leisure time. Once the lesson ended, we were feeling a lot less high as well, so we weren't tweaking at all about our next classes. Ended up finishing the day, going home, and nobody suspected a thing.
Drinking versus smoking. Both activities resulting in an altered state of mind, but that's really about where the similarities end, because as we know, in many ways, the effects of these substances are basically exact opposites. So if you put a drunk man and a high man in the same situation, for example walking down a busy street, the high man will most likely keep his head down, avoiding eye contact, observing his surroundings, and minding his own business, all while being as low-key as possible. While the drunk man, on the other hand, will probably make eye contact with everyone, all while stumbling around, bumping into trash cans and shit, while having zero idea where he is or where he is even going. Obviously, it also depends on the person and how they react to the effects of these substances. But hey, that's what we're here for, to discover the positives and negatives of both and try to make an unbiased decision on which of these substances is better. And we obviously gotta start with the most important category, and that is the effect. You ever seen a dude faded beyond belief, hanging out and having a fun time with a dude that's drunk as fuck? The answer is probably no, because as I said earlier, the personalities of the two substances just don't mix very well. Being high is a combination of overanalyzing every thought you have and really going deep into your inner 10-year-old, which means laughing uncontrollably at a TikTok your homie sent you one moment, and then the next remembering that we're all really just chunks of matter roaming an endlessly expanding universe without no clear purpose except enjoying your time alive. Ooh, funny cat video. And being drunk is the exact opposite in the way that instead of overanalyzing your decisions, you don't think about them at all.
Shit, you're telling me if I did a backflip off that table right now, I'd impress all the hoes?
Yeah, probably. You know how to do a backflip though?
Just watch.
Hey everybody, check this shit out.
Shit.
Bro, I thought you said you know how to do a backflip. I never said I knew how to. I just thought I'd pull it off somehow. Basically, being drunk makes you overconfident, unaware of your surroundings, numb social anxiety, and overall just makes you very spontaneous in your actions. But don't get me wrong, that's not always a bad thing per se, cause being drunk is fun as fuck. To be honest, in most social situations, it's probably gonna be way more enjoyable than being high. Just the way I see it, alcohol numbs your senses and worries, while makes you more aware of them. So although in the long term, smoking grass is probably less harmful to your overall life, that's not what we're comparing here. So a bit of a controversial take maybe, but alcohol wins this category 1-0 booze. But now let's look at the thing that comes a couple hours after the effect, and that's the after effect / hangover. Not gonna dwell on this subject for too long, as I think we all know where this is going. If you get shit-faced drunk on Friday, you're gonna be fighting the urge to yourself on Saturday. Okay, that might be a bit of an over-exaggeration, but it's low-key true. Because you see, ethanol, aka alcohol, is literally poison, and when you drink too much of it, you're gonna feel like you've been poisoned. Like shit, who would've thought? And with weed, of course, there is no hangover whatsoever. Well, not really, cause if you ever gotten absolutely annihilated to the point your body switches to autopilot before, then you know after waking up the next day, there is a high possibility you'll experience low energy, haziness, brain fog, and worst of all, the desire to get schmacked again in the morning so you can binge watch season 1 of SpongeBob and ignore all your goals and aspirations. But that is a lot better than feeling so awful that you become a devoted Christian overnight and start begging God for mercy. My head hurts so bad. I know I haven't reached out in a while, God, but please end this suffering, and I promise I'll never drink again. Hey bro, wanna go to Lucy's place today? Everybody's coming. It's supposed to be a crazy party. Yeah, let's go. So even though the grass isn't the miracle plant some people believe it to be, I'd still say it's the clear winner in this category. 1-1 all tied up. Now let's look at cost. In the previous comparison of weed versus nicotine, I went through all the levels of consumption to figure out which one is cheaper, but with this one, comparing just the cost of the booze versus the Zaza isn't gonna cut it. Because you see, on a night out where you get wasted, I'd say maybe like 20% of the actual money spent is gonna be on alcohol you yourself consumed, with the rest going to entry fees into clubs, buying shots for them hoes, expressing your love to the homies by buying them drinks, and other stupid shit people tend to do when drunk. Also, unless you're a straight up bum or functioning alcoholic, you're not gonna be drunk every day. Instead, if you love drinking and partying, you'll be drunk every weekend. Or the other possibility is, of course, you drink a couple beers every night at the end of your day, which the best way to tell if you fall into this category is go look in the mirror, and if you have a dad bod, then yeah, you're probably in it. With smoking though, your primary cost is gonna be in the itself, ranging anywhere from $40 a month if you only blaze on the weekends with your homies, all the way up to like $500 a month if you're getting high every day. Which this category is quite hard for me to pick a clear winner because it really just depends on your personality and self-control when drunk, so I'ma leave it at a tie. I'm sorry, it's the only way to be fair. 2-2, we're still tied. Now time for addictiveness. I think the best way to answer this question is by looking at what these substances do to you, starting with alcohol. The saying, drink away the pain, exists for a reason. Alcohol is a numbing agent. It numbs your senses, numbs your brain, numbs your body, and it numbs the pain. Basically meaning you can drink away your problems for the night, which if that isn't enough of a red flag, it also has some pretty major withdrawal symptoms if you decide to stop being an alcoholic one day. And although with there can also be withdrawal symptoms, it's a bit harder to get that far, and from what I've digged up, they're not as hard to overcome. Although, take that with a grain of salt because the research on this field isn't super conclusive yet. But if alcohol is a numbing agent, then what is the ganja? Glad you asked. In my opinion, the Zaza is an amplifier, so if you're sad and dealing with some serious emotional damage and then smoke a doozy, you're gonna be even more sad and the emotional damage will feel much worse. Obviously, if you get so blasted you switch to manual breathing, it can also numb the pain to some regard, but that's only because your brain puts your trauma aside to focus on surviving the high, and it's not like it's always gonna do that, it might actually just make you focus on your misery even more. That being said, I'ma give this point to the Zaza, because although saying isn't addictive is false, it is still less so than alcohol. So 3-2, the grass is finally winning, but maybe this next category will tie it back up. Variety. By this I mean the variations of said effects. So with weed, there are different strains that give different effects. And of course with different sorts of alcohol, it's the same thing. Wrong! Or shit, at least I have not once in my life drank some grade A distilled gin and been like, yeah, this is definitely more of a mellow drunkenness. It just doesn't happen. Alcohol is alcohol, unless it's tequila. We don't talk about tequila. Anyway, with weed, the variation is very extensive. You have your obvious CBD and but also nowadays derivatives like THC, HHC, and so on. And it goes even further with indica and from there the strain, and from there the percentage, so variety is definitely not an issue. Oh, and I better not see no comments about, you obviously never drank wine before. It's been proven that these professional wine testers are just a bunch of high society wannabes trying to act like they know shit. Motherfuckers be drinking $5 wine comparing it to a $100 bottle saying shit like, this definitely has more of a floral and zesty taste to it. Like, what the f does that even mean? It tastes like wine. God damn, bro, just chill. Anyway, 4-2 does Mary Jane still undefeated. Wake and bake. One who does not understand the true implications of this act may find himself overwhelmed by its powers. Yet this holy practice has a special place in every stoner's heart, for it can only be truly enjoyed if one forfeits his entire life energy and hopes to receive the blessing of the Za gods. For if one does not concede to the Za, I will be consumed by it. I have witnessed one too many proud, ignorant soldiers underestimate the wake and bake and end up overwhelmed by its mighty force. But if you're confused by my holy transcript, I'll put it in terms you might understand better. It's not a wake and bake if you don't fucking wake up. Dudes be out here talking about, ooh, I love waking and baking. It makes my whole day so much less stressful. Yeah, of course it does, Dinglebob, if all you do after is watch TikTok, order Uber Eats, fill your belly to the brim, and take a 3-hour nap. But some mofos still disrespect the holy practice by literally doing nothing with the extravagant mega high of the wake and bake.
And yes, no matter what science says, I'm here to tell you getting high as soon as you wake up is a lot stronger and different than getting high, let's say, in the evening. And my theory is that right after waking up, your body and brain are not functioning at full capacity yet, and are weak against foreign substance attacks like THC. So when you inhale that beautiful Mary Jane right after waking up, your body's defense systems are down, leading to more of the THC slipping through to your brain, therefore getting suited as fuck. And since design ain't nothing but an amplifier of your senses, feelings, and thoughts, since waking up is hard to begin with, cause I don't know about you, but I personally gotta recite every damn inspirational Rocky Balboa quote to muster up the strength to get up in the morning. If you're high, that shit is like 10 times harder. And that's proven by most of these mofos who claim they like waking and baking. Dudes get high and just stare at the wall and watch the day go by. Like, there really are levels to this shit. And since your boy waked and baked every single day for a whole summer, I have gone through all of them and am qualified to tell you it starts at level 1. The couch potato. This is the state you're probably gonna be in for the first couple times you get high right in the morning. And it ain't nothing to be ashamed of, because those first times are like a learning experience. Once the baking is planned, when you go to sleep, it'll have you all excited like, oh boy, can't wait to get high as soon as I wake up and go on an adventure. But when the time comes and you smoke that exotic, you soon realize that this shit hits different. Not only are you baked out of your mind, you also feel like your eyelids have 10-pound weights on them. But even so, you will try your best to go on that high adventure you have been hyping up. But unfortunately, the most you can do is gather the strength to go to the kitchen and make a sandwich. Which after, you'll probably take that right back to your room, put on some Netflix or some, watch it for a couple minutes and realize, I'm not leaving this bed anytime soon, am I? And boom, you either fall asleep or lie in your bed watching Netflix like the potato you are for the whole high. But if you're like me and don't accept that as a successful and fun wake and bake, you'll do it again some other day, and this time you're better educated on the powers of the morning za, which will lead you to level 2. I will persevere. This time, you know what to expect, and have mentally prepared for the tiredness and overall lack of motivation to do stuff by the wake and bake. So just like before, you decide to try the holy practice, but this time decide to brush your teeth and maybe take a shower before the bake. Just cause you know one of the hardest parts about getting up in the morning is the fact you can't just stand up and start your day. You gotta do your morning routine first. Anyway, now that you've completed the wake and bake and were smart enough to do a bit of your morning routine first, the 10-pound weights that were attached to your eyelids previously have now lightened up to about 4-pound weights. And although every fiber of your being is still telling you to go lie down, you fight through and attempt to start your day with something lightly productive, like going to the store or cleaning your room. And if you do end up going to the store like I did, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but it's a trap. Cause you will most likely find yourself admiring every food item your eyeballs gaze upon, and we all know when the munchies hit, well, you either rise to the occasion or you have a bad trip. Hey, I'm sorry, I don't make the rules, I just follow them. So you go back home, do your best impression of Nicotine avocado, and find yourself watching YouTube or Netflix on your wretched bed again. Good try, but not quite the wake and bake epic adventure you were hoping for. But this time, you swear on your mama. Well, better not do that, but anyway, you swear that next time you will have an awesome wake and bake, which will lead you to level 3.
It's not about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
You've had enough of this BS. You're done folding to the power of the za and being that 1990s generic movie stoner who smokes grass, plays video games, and eats Doritos all day. So now, you do what you did previously, but instead of going to your local Wonderland 7-Eleven, you instead go to the gym or just do something productive that doesn't involve binge watching the new One Piece Netflix series. But this level is in reality quite subjective. It all depends on what your idea of a successful wake and bake is. For me, I'm happy with my wake and bake if after the high dissipates and reality starts to shape back in, I don't feel all hazy and sad from the fact that I did a wake and bake. This also means sometimes it's okay to hit that Mary Jane immediately after waking and just playing video games the entire time. If you plan a day like that ahead and enter the morning with no desire to do anything but lay on your couch and eat 50% off birthday cakes you got from the discount aisle at Walmart, then that's fine. One of my funnest and favorite high memories came from a wake and bake with Riz X, where immediately after waking, we spontaneously decided to get faded, and after that, we were a bit bored, so so we decided to look at how much money we had in our bank balance, and well, things weren't looking too good, but we were able to scrape together $200 and went on Facebook Marketplace to search for fun items for the high mind. And oh boy, we sure did strike gold, because we found this guy selling an Xbox Series S with 2 controllers close to our area. So we pulled up, acquired the box, found a free trial for Xbox Game Pass, and played a bunch of split-screen games and ate McNuggets all goddamn day. Which in my book has got to be a successful wake and bake, but it would have been an awful one if we hadn't planned ahead and occupied the day's schedule with only 2 things in mind: smoke grass and have fun. But one thing I will say about the holy practice known as the wake and bake is that it's best enjoyed as a special occasion, and that's because them shits absolutely demolish your tolerance, and I speak from experience. We went from a bag lasting 1 week to 1 day and 3 days of waking and baking. Like, I don't know exactly why, but that shit sure isn't sustainable financially nor productivity wise. It also has to do with the fact when you wake and bake, you usually smoke throughout the whole day, but when you smoke up after a long and productive day of grinding, you only do so once or twice before you get tired and go to bed, giving your body ample time to recover from the THC. Think about it like this: if you wake and bake and then smoke throughout the day, that ganja is constantly building up, so your body never really has time to digest that THC through your system. But if you smoke only every 24 hours or so, you're giving your body time to recover and remove the za from your brain, making it so you don't have to smoke a whole spliff just to feel a little bit high. But shit, I'm not a scientist, so all this stuff might be BS, but I don't know, it kinda makes sense, doesn't it? Types of people you should never blaze with. If you've ever smoked with friends, you know being high with others can be a great time, and in a lot of ways much more fun than being high alone. But it can also be awful and cause za anxiety if you're with the wrong group. So today we're gonna go over types of people you should never smoke up with, starting with the oversmoker. The oversmoker is someone who wants to hit that Benjamin way too much. Now don't get me wrong, I got nothing against a good old limit breaker sesh, but if you're the oversmoker, you never actually doing that. Cause your tolerance is so high, even if you grab the beehive-sized chunk of wax and dab the whole thing, you still stand there like, phew, I think I feel something. Another reason I really don't like blazing with these dudes is cause you can't ever really dive into a topic and enjoy the high, cause every 10 minutes you hear that, "Hey, let's do another hit." Like, what you mean, dog? We just did 3 hits in 30 minutes. I'm halfway fused with the couch, and your homie is in the corner explaining how the government controls us with tap water. We don't need another hit, bro. One positive this guy has, I guess, though, is he is always equipped with a ridiculous amount of za. Dudes must get his shit from the same guy Gordon Ramsay was hitting up, cause it's always some damn exotic. Even so, their vibe ain't really one I fuck with, so if you're this guy, I'ma respectfully advise you to maybe consider taking a tea break or some, cause their diff is a point where it's too much. Unlike the next guy, who doesn't even need any side to be annoying, and he is Mr. Paranoid. I think we've all gotten paranoid from the grass before, and that ain't nothing to be ashamed of, cause sometimes there really ain't nothing you can do. But the occasional paranoid episode ain't what this guy has. This dude, even before taking a rip, is talking about some, hey yo, you sure this ain't lace, right? No, what? This is the same stuff as last time, bro. Okay, that's good. Can you check if there's any cops around? Bro, there's no cops. We're in the fucking woods. Yeah, okay, but wait, before we smoke, let me check if this place is haunted. Man, what is this guy on? Like, bro, what do you mean haunted? This ain't Conjuring, bro. Why you always trying to set a negative vibe for everyone? But however much you assure my mans that no, it's okay, we're not about to be swatted on some Twitch streamer shit, his mind just can't seem to get over it. And worst part is, dude never tries to deal with his paranoid problems on his own. You can all be having a fun time talking about some GTA 6 leaks or something, and he'll just ruin it all with, "Hey yo guys, you hear that?" "Hear what?" "Bro, I swear, I just heard someone walking outside." "So?" It's a neighborhood. That's what people do." "Yeah, but the window's open. He could have saw us all high." "Yeah, but it ain't like you're gonna call the cops." "Cops? There's cops?" "What? No, chill, man. There's no cops." Nah, bro. I think I'm greening out. I need some fresh air or something." Bro just decides, yup, I'm greening out now. Like, no, your personality is just very insecure, and you should probably get that figured out before you take another smack dabbly do off that Benjamin. Anyway, this guy ain't no fun to blaze with, cause he's very prone to ruining the vibe, so avoid at all costs.
this. This next guy is more of a personal preference, so you might disagree with me, but for a guy I don't like getting high with it, the grass NPC. I think we've all met one of these, whether you knew it at the time or not. This is the type of dude who lives, breathes, and of course, smokes grass. I mean, really, dudes physically can't talk about anything else for more than a minute, cause he has no goals or aspirations that stretch further than, I wanna get suited AF. Which, wanting to get suited ain't nothing bad. I mean, most of us here probably love bacon, but come on, bro. At some point, you gotta think about your life, your future, or I don't know, just something else than grass. Why I personally don't like hanging with a dude like this is cause his stories always are so centered around how high he was. I mean, bro, I get it. You went to school high. Like, at some point after hearing about the 78th time of dudes being high in class, you start to notice that man's actually has nothing interesting to say except,
yeah, I was so gone when I was in math class. Yeah, bro, we went to the zoo and I was not on planet Earth.
like, bro, when are you ever on planet Earth? And I find it hard to believe this guy, cause if you blazing so much, do you even feel high anymore? Like, don't you just get used to the feeling and it becomes normal? Anyway, don't be this guy. He ain't making it past level 1 of life, for real. Unless he like starts his own dispensary or something. Then it could work out very nicely, actually. But the next type of dude on the list is the guy that wants to be taken way too serious. I don't know if you guys ever talked to someone like this, but I have a couple times, and it's annoying AF. You know how when you blaze, you tend to go on rants and halfway lose your train of thought and then just end up saying, ah shit, I don't know what I'm talking about. And everyone laughs and moves on? Well, this dude is incapable of doing that. Instead, he holds the conversation hostage with his ramblings about inflation, Biden, Oprah, and James Cameron. And if you start trying to move on and talk about something else, dude sits there not listening and then 3 minutes later hits everyone with the,
Okay, so basically what I was trying to explain earlier was,
like, bro, we already moved on and we're all freaking baked. No one even remembers their last sentence. How you gonna start expanding on your thoughts from ages ago like the MCU or something? Worst part is, however much you try to politely show him to stop ranting, he never gets the sign to just keeps doing it. Best thing you can do is just not invite him to the sesh, and you don't have to feel like a dick about it either, cause I'm 100% sure he understands the signs, but just ignores him cause he thinks his thoughts are more important than whatever the group wants to talk about. But the next dude on the list has a bit of a different problem, and he is Mr. I'm bored, I wanna do something. Oh snap, the guy who is somehow always bored and wants to do something. Now, don't get me wrong, I love high adventures and I'm always down to go on one, but only if there's actually something cool in mind. Yeah, this is something this dude and me don't have in common, cause this mofo just spams the sentence,
I'm bored, let's go somewhere.
Like, bro, where somewhere? Say where. My man just assumes anywhere is better than where he is, and honestly, that gets annoying fast, cause it makes you all self-conscious about if you're bored or not. And honestly, a lot of times you might be, but that's just life. The grass ain't a freaking happy pill. Sometimes you're gonna smoke up and still feel bored. But how is that gonna change if we go outside? It's not like we living in Skyrim, bro. However sad it may be, you ain't finna open the door and see a mysterious bearded man waiting for you with a scroll in his hand saying,
adventurer, we need you.
But hey, out of everybody on the list, I think this guy is the least bad, cause a lot of times the Zom makes mofos lazy AF, so it is good to have someone who can push the group into doing stuff. Just sometimes my man needs to chill out. Talking about,
Let's go to McDonald's, let's go to Burger King,
Let's go, shh. Let's just shut the fuck up. Okay.
Although sometimes dude actually does have something in mind, which turns out to be pretty fun. So there ain't nothing bad with wanting to do something cool, just you don't have to parade the fact you're bored all the time, cause just by saying that, everybody is gonna feel like that even more.
And I got nothing against that, just since 90% of the time I find myself at 7-Eleven, I'm fried too, and the motherfucker that's supposed to be helping me is trying to scan my items with his damn iPhone. Nah, but for real, the pace that these fried motherfuckers work at is fine when your brain is running at the same low frequency, but if you're in a rush, it'll take damn near every ounce of mental strength you got to stop yourself from forcing a damn self-checkout.
Would you like a bag with that, sir?
Fuck no, here's the money, just give me my shit. But don't get me wrong, I got nothing against a good old Benjamin. There really ain't a better on-the-go, fast and easy way to get faded. Unfortunately, I didn't go to college and kinda cheated my way through high school too, so the 15 or so brain cells I was able to develop that keep me from losing and forgetting shit turned into, well, basically zero. And for that reason, I've already lost 2 of them. One of them slipped out my pocket while I was at the movies, and I'm pretty sure some teenagers stole it, cause after the film, when I was looking for it with my flashlight and shit, these motherfuckers were giggling in the back, looking at me like I was a damn circus clown. Coupled with the fact I was fried as fuck, I was fighting my tears years, dog. I just got robbed by some damn teens and I can't even do shit cause it was illegal to even bring it in there. Second one I lost in a very similar manner. As I was getting out my Uber going back home, my sweatpants did me dirty and flinged that fucker out as I was standing up. Took me 2 minutes to realize, and when I did, my Uber driver was probably already hitting that shit cause when I called him back to ask for it, he said,
Let me check. It seems that you only left me a $1 tip. Sorry, I couldn't find it.
And that one hurt the most because that was the first pen I ever had and the one I used for my first Benjamin adventure, which my first time was, well, by far the highest I have ever been in my life. I'm talking freaky, I'm talking third person. Shit, it was the first time in years I truly greened the thaw out. For you see, normal weed or bud is just that, normal. So the strength of it is confined in the realms of reality, unless you know it, it's moonrock. Anyway, the biggest difference between smacking a pen versus, let's say, a J is that the pen doesn't have normal bud in it. It has concentrate, which if you're unaware like I was, is about 10 to 20 times stronger than bud. Knowing that, the best way to get faded off the pen is by just taking small rips to avoid getting sent into the goddamn shadow realm. For example, the YouTuber DamianLuck925 is very well known for taking multiple blinkers, which is the biggest hit you can take, outside in social situations, most notably in random classrooms, like it's nothing. So me being at my USA Airbnb alone in the confines of my living room, thought to myself, okay, so it looks like the basic hit I should do at least is one blinker, but probably more. Yet what was waiting for me on the other side of Blinker City was something I was not prepared for. Something unholy. The voices. I'll never forget the horrible things they were whispering. They made me almost delete my YouTube channel. Anyway, it started with me ordering a 1 gram pen off of Weed Amazon, and it arrived the very next day in a beat up Cadillac with a delivery man who, from the looks of it, tests out every product he delivers just, to make sure the quality is there. Yo, bro, you're here for the weed, right? You got the cash? Yeah, I ordered through your website, though. It should be paid for already. Yeah, I forgot I'd take online orders now, too. Anyway, here's the stuff, bro. I trust you. Hey, thanks, bro. Have a good one. You too, man.
Hello, Mr. Bro. We got a delivery for you from Weed Amazon that should be arriving in an hour or so. Will you be home then?
Wait, didn't I just...
I'm a gorilla in a fucking scoop. Gonna pull up in the zip.
Oh, I better get out of here.
So I went back to the crib, Benjamin in hand, and prepared myself to get faded. And obviously, I went for a blinker, my very first hit. But since I had never smacked a pen before, I inhaled it for about 4 seconds and stopped because it was so light on my throat, I thought it wasn't working, but it actually was. And from that 4-second puff, I was already quite bamboozled. But since I have this weird rule of every time I get new stuff, I break it in by doing a massive hit, I thought, well, fuck. I was supposed to do a blinker, and went for it again. I inhaled and inhaled for a good 8 to 10 seconds, but the thing just wouldn't fucking blink. It got to the point where there was tears coming from my eyes and my throat was begging me to stop, and it ended up like... I had made a grave mistake. I was so fucking high, I felt my soul leave my body. I was so high, I forgot I was even high. But it was just the beginning, cause over the next 10 minutes, I just kept on getting more faded, and the demons in my head kept on getting louder and louder. But if you know me, I kinda refused to green out, so I just kept on doing random shit like reading the ingredients list off my bag of M&Ms, reading the comments on my videos.
Change that dark blue. Do things has changed career. Imagine not being another YouTuber.
Kill yourself. Was not doing good. I was keeping a strong facade, but inside there was a war going on. I was feeling like Naruto with the 9 tails, only instead of an all-powerful destructive force talking to me, I was just really fucking high. Anyway, so yeah, I was grading out, which hadn't happened to me in years, and I concluded that because the voice of reason was completely being outspoken by the voice of tweaking. The good news is though, the hype from the Benjamin doesn't last too long, and in about 1 to 2 hours, I had started coming down, but at that point, I was already crawled up in my bed, scrolling endlessly on my phone, until I finally reached a state where I felt good enough to come out of emergency mode and order some food and ate myself into a food coma. So I learned, well, firstly, actually that motherfucker Fulcrum is actually insane, or his tolerance is just something else, bro, and that the Benjamin is best enjoyed in puffs of 3 to 5 seconds and not blinkers. You know, the line between a fun high and a you done high is very thin, and that shit is no joke. Sometimes all it takes is just one extra puff. And that's when I finally realized that dude was not talking about no Coca-Cola to drink. Wait, but I did buy this weed from him. I wonder if... No, wait, it can't be.
Everybody stop right now! I think we're all smoking crack!
Hey, yo, see, you got any more of that weed you gave me yesterday? Oh, it's really good shit. Yeah, I really like it. Hey, yo, so you have some. Hey, yo, give me, I'll give you anything. I'll fucking suck your dick. And that's exactly why you can never trust a plug who also sells that Coca-Cola, if you know what I'm saying. But your weed being laced with a substance that'll change the chemistry of your brain and make the pursuit of your dreams and happiness into the pursuit of concentrated 1900s Coca-Cola and ruin your life forever is the least of your worries when you smoke up with a bunch of sad boys. Now, don't get me wrong, mental health is very important, and you should never keep everything inside because your loved ones want to help you. But bro, ever since Juice WRLD dropped Lucid Dreams, motherfuckers will find any reason to be depressed.
I still see your shadows in my room. Can't take back the love that I gave you.
Yo, what was going on with you, bro? Like, you've been acting really sad as of late.
You wouldn't understand. I'm depressed. There's just no point to anything.
Wait, but you weren't depressed 2 days ago. Oh, you're on a sad boy phase. Sad boy? No! Oh, fuck, I guess I am. Yeah, bro, how about we go to Salamander's place, get obliterated, and play some Super Smash Bros. Instead of whatever the fuck you're doing here? Yeah, what am I doing here? Yeah, let's just get out of here.
1 hour later.
So, Ricky, you still sad? Nah, I'm having a blast. Wait, but you were saying something about, like, someone's shadows you were still seeing in your room?
I don't want to talk about that.
And that's the story of how we were able to stop Ricky from becoming a full-time sad boy, just in the nick of time. But besides almost losing a friend to the song Sad, exclamation point, there have been 2 extremely scary highs I have gone through. One was instigated by the po-po, man, fuck the police! And the other was from the fear of losing my life. Let me set the scene for you. I'm in high school and I've smoked maybe 3 or 4 times ever, but the last time I did was months ago, so my tolerance was damn near at the level of smelling some grass and getting faded. Anyway, so I had a couple friends who have been asking me relentlessly to get some and get faded because they didn't know any plugs and really wanted to try it. So one weekend I decided to finally fulfill their request and hit up my homie Salamander and acquired the exotic. The weekend came and we found ourselves in my dorm room rolling a J, which, well, I had rolled it and it took me a while because my stats were low AF. Basically, I was out there trying to pick an expert level lock with 0 points in perception, dog. After going through 20 papers, the abomination was ready though, so we went deep into the local park and sparked it. Barely, because that shit had almost 0 airflow. I had to relight the damn thing after every puff. Yet that was definitely not even close to the worst part, because these motherfuckers who were begging me to get the Zon in the first place were scared shitless to get high, so I ended up smoking like 80% of the J myself, leaving me absolutely zoinked in a group where nobody else wasn't. So you can imagine I was feeling pretty betrayed, and also a bit scared, because if you've ever been obliterated in a group where no one else is, you know that you feel kind of like an alien abandoned by your comrades in a hostile planet, and that feeling was amplified by the fact that these friends of mine were kind of dickheads. Because after puffing down the J, we went to the local gas station to get some munchies, and of course I was fiending for some trans fat, so I asked them if they could go in there and bring me the stuff I wanted, and I'd of course pay them back. Pretty reasonable and easy, right? Being that I was the only one who was blasted and scared of getting caught. I guess fucking not, because these pussios who didn't even inhale the fucking weed told me that they wouldn't bring me anything if I didn't come in, which, I mean, these days I wouldn't mind, but I was like 17 and it was a Friday night, the prime time for cop patrol, so I had no choice and went in there tweaking out of my mind like...
Oh fuck, this place is full. Shit. Wait, it feels like they're all staring at me. No, I think I'm just high. Okay, let's just get out of here. I'm not gonna order anything. Okay, fine. fine. Go to the corner.
Hey, yo, bro, I'm gonna just take some chips and candy, okay? And can you give me the car keys so I can just wait it out in the car while you guys wait for your food, yeah?
No.
What? Why? I'm not even gonna turn it on, bro.
Cause, bro, I got an announcement to make. This motherfucker,
Bro, shut the fuck up! That ain't funny, I'm baked as fuck, you pussy.
okay, but yeah, you're not getting the keys.
So basically, these scumbags just decided to torture me, and because I had to wait for their food anyway, I went to order some too, and as I was doing so, 3 girls from my school approached me at the counter and were like, yeah, I'll have a
Hey, see, haven't you guys smoked some weed, yeah?
Well, no, I'll have the dumplings, yeah.
But yeah, we definitely didn't.
We're all super duper sober bober. Yeah, you did. Dwayne said so. You got some left? You can come to our place if you have some. We really want to get faded too.
And in that moment, I had to pause and rethink my whole life because I did not in fact have any left because I wasted it all on my rinky-dinky sausage party bum fun enjoying friends. Which if I would have had some left, I could have gone to these girls' crib and smoked up with free hot chicks. But no, I donated all the weed to dumber, and me, the dumbest. And after that realization of alliances, I changed the famous saying, bros before hoes, to bros who aren't hoes before bros. And I live by that to this day. But the scariest part was yet to come, because as I was waiting for my food posted up at the ice cream station, a cop walked in. And that just set my tweak meter to a whole new level. I felt my heart rate spike to like 200 and I was shaking just begging God for him not to walk towards me. But he fucking did. I avoided eye contact at all costs, but it seemed he had his eyes set on me. He got closer and closer until he was standing right in front of me.
Fuck, why is he here? He knows I'm faded, doesn't he? Oh shit, I'm fucked. I'm going to juvie. This is over. Oh my God, I'm gonna fucking die.
Yes, officer?
Could you move out of the way, please? I want some ice cream.
Yeah, of course. My bad.
Thanks. Nothing better than some good old Ben & Jerry's to complement a sour diesel joint. Shit, fucking fire.
Okay, the last part maybe didn't happen, okay? Anyway, the build-up, the weed, the cop, everything combined gave me some of the worst anxiety I've ever had, but the relief when he just wanted some ice cream was equally amazing. I had gotten away from this horrid situation, and once we got our food, we went to a hangout spot where I got really cold and tweaked again. Overall, I'd rate the high a 7 out of 10 just because it was eventful and I got a nice adrenaline dump, but it would have been a damn 9.5 if your boy could have gone to the girls' crib and got faded with some hot females instead of my pussy friends, goddamn. Although this high was quite stressful, it did have its highlights, unlike my most scary high.
We've all had a bad high before, and for some of us, we've had many. But what if I told you, you don't even know what that means? At least before you hear about the day I almost died while bugging off the Zaza. I woke up happier than usual because it was a special day. To be exact, it was my special day. My birthday. And I had planned a great celebration in my name. I was going to get wasted in my hometown with my old school friends. Because, well, I hadn't seen him in a long time, and I mean, I was turning 18, so you know your boy had to throw a killer party. Okay, to be honest, the party was pretty lame, cause my friends were either soy boys, in a relationship, or just plain gay. Cause I told them multiple times, bring some hoes. The problem was, I had lost all my female connections in the area over the 2 years I was away, and they knew this. So how you gonna pull up to the party knowing your boy is back from the gulag and it's his birthday talking about,
Bro, where the hoes at? This party lame as hell.
I told you bring the hose, any hose, yet you come here with a 6-pack and a vape. What you talking about where the hose at? Look in the mirror, fool. You the hoe. You the hoe. Anyway, so we're just chilling at my lame party when my boy Ricky hits me up like,
Hey bro, I saw you in town again. Wanna smoke some gas?
And even though I do have an obligation to stay at my own birthday function, I decided to disband. Hey, everybody, thank you all for coming, but I'm gonna have to wrap this party up because it's getting kinda late.
Bro, it's 11 p.m. Party's just starting. Let's drink some more beers, eh?
Yeah, it's only 11 p.m. Let's drink some more beers. Get the fuck out of my house, Charles. So I get these soy boys at my house. Like, sorry, but if you can't even muster one single female on a 2-week notice to come to a house party, are you really even a man? But yeah, so here I am, half drunk, walking to the European version of 7-Eleven when I get a text from my boy Ricky. Hey man, you wanna come roll with us on this drop-off? We can blaze up in the car on the way there. And I don't really want to get involved with any dealings of illegal substances, but like, I was pretty much at the 7-Eleven already and really wanted to get lit. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I get to the parking lot and I see the most rusty ricer stolen from the junkyard looking car, blasting gangster rap from the speakers like it was a 50 Cent concert. I jump in the car and see my boy Ricky, but also 2 of my friends from elementary school. They discussing this business whilst me and Ricky blazing in the back, when I noticed the driver seems kind of off. So I asked Ricky, hey bro, is that man good? Seems a little off.
Yeah, no, he good. Just had a couple beers. Bruh.
So I just found out that the driver is a teensy bit drunk. But I'm already here and we're blazing, so what am I gonna do, leave? It was about 10 minutes of chatting and smoking when the time came to roll out. And bro, when I say this car was the biggest piece of shit that has ever grazed public roads, I'm not exaggerating. The freaking bottom of the car was vibrating and shaking so much, it felt like we was having an earthquake. And on top of it, the engine was making these clunking noises, and the exhaust was spitting fumes like it was 1920. Even though I was high as a kite, it wasn't just the Zaza making me paranoid, because this guy was driving like he was on a NASCAR track. But the one thing he did constantly that got me praying to our Lord and Savior was taking every corner and curb on the opposite side of traffic. Even though we lived in a small town and it was midnight, if even just one car would have been on those dark and twisty roads that day, it would have meant certain death for all of us. You know those moments where you're like, oh Lord, please, I will never hang out with these thugs again and I will never smoke the good. Just save me from this death. That was me, but like times 10 at least. Anyway, what felt like an eternity of driving, we got to the drop-off, and it was just some more wannabe thug gangsters interacting with our group of wannabe thug gangsters. That interaction took about 10 minutes until we started driving back, and I was just praying the whole way to whoever would listen. Gandhi, Buddha, Michael Jackson, Pop Smoke, Jiraiya, anybody and everybody. Somehow we got back in one piece. Can't say the same words about the car though, cause when we pulled up to the 7-Eleven again and he turned it off, it made a weird noise. So he tried activating the shit box again and it wouldn't. So yeah, sucks for him I guess. So I say my goodbyes to the top thug gangsters of my hometown, and all I can think about is, bro, what the hell happened to my old homies? Everybody's either a soy boy or a drug dealer, no in between. Guess the moral of the story is, chase your dreams, I guess. Oh, and don't go into cars that look like they were last maintained in 1955, cause there's a good chance that this'll happen.
Zyn, the all-new and improved nicotine device. You see, unlike before with vape companies who sold you a product that was near perfect, Zyns are perfect. I mean, just look at Tucker Carlson, who interviewed Putin while going double upper decky, triple lower decky the entire time, and you didn't even notice.
Перестаньте выставлять на показ Zyn, передайте мне 2, чтобы я мог как минимум удвоить верхнюю палубу.
But besides that largely unconfirmed dialogue, I mean it when I say Zyns are the future of nicotine addiction. And unlike you Americans who might just be hearing about the Zyn, me, a veteran snus-stuffing European, will tell you that this is merely the tip of the iceberg. Because when an American first tries Zyn, it usually plays out like this. So I just put it under my gum? Yeah, that's called going upper decky, bro. Alright, if you say so. Okay, so what am I supposed to, what's this? This is the buzz? I'm a bit... I gotta sit down. Yeah, bro, you just went to upper decky capital. You're gonna be buzzing like a bee. But to me and every other Northern European, the sin seems like a product that should be sold at the baby aisle at Target. And no, that is in no way to brag. I am ashamed and quite literally making this video to warn you guys. Because all of this pouch stuff seems to be new, so you might not even know about the 5 levels of sin addiction that will be waiting for you once you get to level 1.
It's called sin, bro. It's not even that bad.
You have been introduced to sin, and hopefully you declined, but most likely you didn't, and now you're experiencing a buzz unlike you've never had before. Since it's your first sin, this will be what you'll set as a baseline for your addiction in the future, because as we know, the first high is always the craziest. But with sin, the guy who gave you it is probably already muttering something about,
yeah, bro, it's like the perfect nicotine delivery system. You know, Nick increases your testosterone and boosts your focus, and you know, sin isn't even that harmful for you, bro.
And well, you just made your first mistake by actively opening the floodgates for these words to penetrate your ear hole and reach the cool part of your brain, which is now telling you,
bro, it's not right-wing propaganda. Sins are the future, and you know, it's not even that bad for you, man.
Which unfortunately, now, bro, you're moving on to level 2. I'm responsible. I'll take the free milligram one, please. Thank you. Free MG? Shit, bro. My first time was a 35 MG, motherfucker. So, you have your own sin and feel inclined to make it an integral part of your personality. So, whenever someone asks, hey, yo, what's that? You will happily give the factory preset AI generated voice line of,
bro, you haven't heard? This is sin. It's like the future, bro. You wanna try one?
And congratulations, you are now actively participating in the new Juul pandemic and doing exactly what they want you to do. Not just get addicted, get everybody else too. Only problem is, you are slowly starting to realize that going double upper decky, triple lower decky isn't really doing it for you anymore. And there's only so much room in your gums, so now you move on to level 3. I'll take the 6mg one, please, thank you. Welcome to the pinnacle of sin, a true sinhead, a maestro at the upper and lower decky. You must now continue to spread the word of sin, all about slowly realizing your gums are kind of coarse and that every day you go to sleep, your main motivation for the coming morning seems to be,
oh, can't wait to get that first sin lit, baby.
Which, once you make it here, you can confidently call yourself a sinhead and find yourself popping them every chance you get. I mean, you wake up, sin, eat breakfast, sin, go to school or work, sin. Sinning has really taken over your life, man. God damn. Regardless, everybody cool is sinning, so it's okay. It's the future, right? Well, here's where you might do a bit more research into the topic and realize nicotine pouches have been around for decades and that in places like Russia and Sweden, dudes have literally died from sinning or, well, Siberia Pablo extra stronging too hard. Cause you see, 6mg is actually like really light. I mean, in Estonia, the most commonly used product is 35mg. Yeah, almost 12 times stronger than the base model sin. So you either realize you're on a fucking slippery slope crafted and marketed by big tobacco and stop, or you keep going and find yourself on level 4. You have Velo. You might not specifically get Velo. You have Velo is just a marketing slogan I saw they're running in Poland. Anyway, now you're not really cool anymore. I mean, everybody is sinning and now you're just kind of the guy who took it too far. But I guess you're kind of in my shoes, eh? You feel like you know more than the rest, that sin is for babies. On top of that, you still haven't dealt with your crippling nicotine addiction. If a free MG sin will get someone who has never done nicotine buzz like a bee, the average Velo will in fact make him vomit and feel sick for 30 minutes. Now for real, like back in the day, a big challenge some degenerate high schoolers in my country used to push to their friends was something like,
put this 30mg pouch upper decky right now, and if you can manage for 5 minutes, I'll give you $10.
And the outcome was usually the challengee puking and feeling sick in about 1.
Unlike me though, I held a 35mg for 5. And I wasn't even challenged. I'm just born to be a sinner, I guess.
Anyway, there is one more level, which most people probably won't get to, because it's kind of getting ridiculous, but level 5, Siberia Max 100mg fucking annihilator. At this point, you might as well just move to Sweden, bro, because the people in the US, man, they just don't get you.
Ah, you're sinning, eh? Try this, it's a bit stronger. Alright, why not? Okay, this is...
Couldn't handle the man shit, eh?
Hey, you good, bro? I'll be on my way then. After realizing you literally can't exist without Zyn, you might want to quit, but it's basically impossible. Well, not impossible, but usually the types of people who go over level 3 are the types of people who say stuff like,
You know, man, I'll quit when I want to.
which means never, or until their doctor says they are literally dying because of it. Unfortunately, the largely unknown health-related side effects have made sinning seem like it can't be that bad. Well, since I'm a certified sinner, I'll walk you through the average day of a veteran pouch addict. First things first, of course, you gotta wake up, and most civilized people, including me, wait at least till after eating breakfast to go upper decky. Although that doesn't mean there isn't a voice in your head every single day egging you on to sin as soon as your fucking mind becomes conscious. Shit, sometimes I even be seeing that bitch in my sleep, which makes it even more tempting, cause now I don't even get a choice in what I think about in the morning. The sin literally won't let me be unaddicted even in my fucking dreams. Talk about free advertising, goddamn. Anyway, once you sin in the morning, your first lit is usually a non-productive one, so you kinda just scroll your phone and chill on the couch. I like to look at the first sin as my only entertainment pouch for the day, and the rest are just kinda there to help me focus and get my shit done. Also, after multiple upper deckies and lower deckies, your decky gets more and more coarse, and the sin less sinny, and at some point you get really tired and realize, oh shit, I gotta eat too, because you can't hold back your hunger with sin forever. Because eventually, your body will be like, I don't know if you've noticed, bro, but, we're kind of dying here. And so, you get a solid belly full, but not because you were hungry, more like you wanted to go double upper decky, but you knew it would just make you sick with an empty stomach. But sometimes, you see, you feel bad about your sin addiction, so you Google if you should stop and systematically ignore all the cons and just end up focusing on, it's not that bad, bro. For me, what always brings me back is the focusing and relaxation properties of the Zyn. When I'm off the stuff, I feel like I need to rest more, and for example, when I broke my back, I didn't sin for like a month because I was just resting. Now that I'm back at full swing though, every time when my body says, yo bro, let's take a break, I'm like, break, yes of course. You mean double upper decky? No, what I mean, you wanna go crazy tonight. Double upper decky, triple lower decky, shall we? And so I pop it and continue on with whatever the fuck I'm doing. I guess what I'm trying to say is though that sins are bad, like really bad, but not so much because of the health implications. Well, they might be, we just don't know yet. Anyway, once you get into the habit of equating sinning with productivity like I have, it's very, very hard to quit. Because the grind never stops. But does that mean the sin never stops? No, it can't. Yeah, just don't ever do it, bro. You'll be so much better off. And in like 3 years, when everyone realizes that this is just Juul 2.0, you can proudly say, I didn't fall for it. Nicotine, the only highly addictive substance besides alcohol and caffeine that the world government is cool with. And although nowadays we know smoking/vaping literally kills you, we still let it slide because, well, money. But nicotine addiction isn't as obvious as, I don't know, crack addiction for example. So how exactly do you determine if you have a problem? And if so, how serious should you take it? Well, the easiest way to tell if you're addicted is obviously if you own your own vape, or just that nicotine is in your everyday routine, meaning you wake up, eat breakfast, vape, go to work, vape, drive home, vape. But if you fall into this category, you probably already know you're addicted, but el nicotino doesn't always make it so obvious. From my experience, I've found that it low-key has a mind of its own, and when it enters your system, it instantly starts rizzing up your brain, firstly giving you the buzz, and after that, it'll curl up all close to you and 15 minutes later whisper, hey, that buzz was pretty nice, right? You should buy a vape. And depending on your mental fortitude, you either do what it says instantly or you fight it. But the more you consume Nick, the stronger and smarter that little voice will get. Cause it'll start analyzing your brain and giving you suggestions based on where you last got that buzz. So if you go to a party and at that party do some vaping, next time when you're invited, the little voice will tell you, ooh, a party. That's the place where we get to vape without feeling bad about it. Cause I mean, everybody's doing it anyway. And from there, you'll become what I call a social vapor, which is someone who only does it at gatherings, parties, get-togethers, etc. by just asking for others to pass their vape. But being a social vapor doesn't mean you're addicted, unless you find yourself going to these gatherings for the sole purpose of getting that sweet, sweet buzz. We've determined that being a social vapor doesn't instantly make you addicted, so what does then? Well, probably when you get to the point where instead of hoping that someone has a Nick stick in the group, you don't risk it and buy your own to take with you. This might seem innocent enough at first, but ask anybody who is a Nick fiend, and they'll tell you that you start being addicted when you buy your own vape, even if it is just for that one night out. Yet most people don't realize this at first, because as I said before, nicotine is one smooth-ass criminal. It is a master of deceiving its victims with lies like, you're not addicted, it's just one vape. You're not addicted. Look at Johnny, he's puffing an L-bar 24/7. Now that's addicted. Worst part is, most dudes only realize they're being deceived when it's too late. Well, not too late, it's never too late to quit, but when you're on that physical addiction pack, it's gonna be way harder compared to if you're only mentally addicted. And if you don't know the difference between mental and physical addiction, then don't worry, it's quite simple. Physical addiction is when your body starts dysfunctioning due to the absence of the substance, aka nicotine, it's used to getting daily, which basically means headaches, vomiting, dizziness, depression, lack of motivation, trouble focusing, etc. Mental addiction is what most people have. It's just your brain telling you to go get some nicotine in your system for whatever reason it comes up with. For me, it usually has to do something with, you had a hard day, I think you deserve a break. With a vape. Or, oh boy, we got a long day ahead of us. I think some nicotine would really help us through it, don't you think? And you wanna know the worst part? It actually scientifically does make working and concentrating easier. Yeah, here I am talking so much shit about vaping, yet nicotine itself is not actually bad. It's how we get it in our system that's harmful for us. There's been a bunch of studies showing that nicotine helps with accuracy, maintaining attention, fine motor skills, and short-term memory, but only when you have it in your system. Basically meaning nicotine is a lot like caffeine, the only difference being you can drink a cup of coffee made with natural beans and reap the benefits for a while. But with nicotine, you either have to inhale Chinese sweatshop chemicals, stuff nickel pouches under your gums, or smoke a cig, which is like insta-cancer. Well, all of them give cancer, but cigs are the most lethal. That being said, nicotine is still a highly addictive substance, and when you start incorporating it into your daily routine, it's gonna become a necessity very quickly. And although caffeine is similar in nature, getting addicted to it isn't as fast of a process. Also, unlike nicotine, which for 99.99% of people is an unhealthy habit, drinking 1 to 3 cups of coffee a day is linked to a lower likelihood of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, liver and endometrial cancers, Parkinson's disease, and depression. So if you're consuming it in moderation, it can actually be beneficial. Anyway, we've determined that nicotine is a sly fox, understood the differences between physical and mental addiction, but also learned that nicotine itself isn't actually bad. Rather, it's the way we consume it and its addictive nature that's not very good. That being said, if you're getting buzzed from a device you yourself bought, then I think it's safe to say you're addicted to some regard. But now a new question arises. How addicted are you? And I think to answer that, we're gonna have to bust out the greatest video format ever created in the history of man. The 3 levels of nicotine addiction. Level 1. Social vapor. As we discussed earlier, at this point, you kinda just vape on night outs or when you hang out with your friends, but that doesn't mean you're not addicted, it means you're only slightly so, and just equate socializing with vaping. Which, if you're able to keep it this way, you'll be fine, and if you ever decide that, nah, I don't wanna equate hanging out with friends with vaping, you can quit relatively easy. Difficulty, 3 out of 10. Yo, what's up? Give me a fucking puff! Level 2. Dispo Fiend. You couldn't resist the buzz and went ahead and started getting your own dispos. Now you're way more fucked than before cause nicotine is in your daily schedule, so your body is starting to get used to it always being available when needed. Depending on how long you keep daily puffing will determine how hard it is for you to quit, but on average, if you've been hitting it for a couple weeks, I'd say difficulty level 6.5 out of 10. Pretty hard. But an easy strategy to try is if you're not a coffee drinker, start being one. Basically, if you're struggling to go completely cold turkey, instead of a morning rip, try a morning brew. I know substituting one addiction for another doesn't sound that good, but as I said earlier, having 1 to 3 cups of coffee a day is actually healthy. That's also why this method only works if you're not already a caffeine fiend, because if you are, this won't really do much. Level 3. Why are you talking to me? Help me find my vape! Or I'm gonna fucking die! Oh, you're a fiend, a pirate, a capitalist for that Nick. You've completely handed over your life to the substance, meaning you don't even try to fight it anymore. Your brain says, get some Nick, and you grab one of your 13 dispos or your prized possession box mod and rip until you feel kinda shitty. Difficulty quitting, 9 out of 10, only cause I've met a person who literally uses nicotine pouches like it's a fucking oxygen tank and he's 1,000 feet underwater. Meaning, mans wakes up, puts one one under, and then throughout his entire day, instead of alternating between having one between his gums and not having one, the instant he takes it out, he puts a new one in. This dude once tried to quit cold turkey, and I shit you not, 4 hours later, he was experiencing headaches, dizziness, vomiting. That's just sad, man, for real. So to answer the question of if you're addicted to nicotine is, well, if you're already asking that, then you probably are. But hopefully you were able to identify where you stand currently and use this video to realize that you're slightly addicted and better to quit now than have it be way harder in the future, or that you've already moved up the ladder and need to take action now before you get to the point of the nicotine pouch guy I told you about. You know, back in the day, if you wanted to get high discreetly, well, sorry bro, there was no way. I mean, you got the J, which stanks up everything. You got the bong, which although doesn't stank as much, where are you gonna hide it? Imagine trying to sneak by your parents on some... What you doing dropping shit at a time like this, boy? Downstairs, I came down, I wanted a glass of water, yeah. Boy, you must be neurologically disabled if you think that'll excuse you from breaking some dusty-ass dollar store piece and spilling bong water all over my goddamn living room. No, it's... Here, take a smack of this shit. It'll get you proper, boy. Well, that sounds like a pretty fun... Anyway, point is, you're not gonna be hiding that shit for long. Only real option you had was the pipe. But bro, at that point, you sacrificing everything you got for one high. Like, I swear, the pipe is the last way anybody in their right mind wants to get faded. Every time I hit it, it's like my lungs and throat revert back to factory settings. Like I ain't never inhaled anything besides O2 before. Basically, by smacking the pipe, you're hurting your lungs and throat to the point it kind of up the first 30 minutes of your high. And that's exactly why when the first Benjamin was invented by the scientists at Yodiland, it changed the game, bruh. Never before could you get obliterated on the go regardless of where you were or what you were doing. And thanks to that, getting high has become so damn easy, you got motherfuckers making obliteration their normal state. Never before could someone do anything even remotely sus and you could just assume they were fucking high. My man had sunglasses on for no reason, faded. Dude was staring somewhere for a bit too long, obliterated. Dude went to White Castle for a culinary experience. Well, that motherfucker's just weird. Goddamn cafeteria food. And you can forget about gas stations and fast food places. I mean, at this point, it's like damn near mandatory to be blasted on the job. January 1st, 2014. There is a line of people in front of a store in Denver, Colorado. Time goes by and they finally open, which then a man walks in and buys the first ever legal recreational bag of weed in the US and gets absolutely obliterated. And I'm pretty sure no one expected this event to bring forth one of the fastest growing industries in the United States. From being known as the murder drug in India to going to your local dispensary and buying a $80 bag of banana strawberry pudding flavored weed, this is the story of how the ZA went from illegal to a projected $100 billion industry by 2028. And it all started in the early 1900s. The initial regulation of cannabis in the United States came with the enactment of the 1937 Marijuana Tax Act. There is a widespread belief that the decision to outlaw cannabis was driven by racial motivations, for you see, during the early 1900s, a growing influx of Mexican immigrants into the US prompted a shift in media discourse towards portraying the ganja as a dangerous substance, leading to the implementation of stricter drug and cannabis laws. Media reports even went as far as labeling marijuana as the murder drug. Yeah bro, not meth and not coke, weed was the murder drug. What are you doing, bro? Smoking that murder drug. Oh, I didn't know it was that bad. Yeah, man, it makes you violent and literally go insane. Oh, damn, I'll put it away. Thanks for warning me. Nah, you good, just don't do it again. What's that? This? Don't worry, this is just crack. Also, during this time, newspapers frequently circulated assertions linking marijuana use to mental illness, promiscuity, and violent behavior. These claims significantly deterred recreational marijuana use among the majority of Americans, despite the substance not being widely recognized at the time. Which, my favorite of the bunch is definitely violent behavior. I just can't deny that every time I smoke a doozy at the end of my day, I get this sudden rage, and I just start fucking going apeshit. That's probably also a big reason why Bob Marley was such a war activist and always propagating rage and hatred. Disclaimer, that was all sarcasm. Anyway, later on, John Ehrlichman, or whatever the fuck his name is, a senior advisor to Nixon, was quoted as saying, well, the quote is pretty long and boring, so I'll just summarize it. Pause the video if you want to see the full version. Did we know we were finessing the public about weed? Yeah, of course, dog. But you gotta understand, bro. We did it for America. We got the public to associate hippies with weed and blacks with heroin. Then we criminalized the shit out of it and went full commando on them. We talking Rambo. We talking death to the chopper. Shit, we went full D-Day on them motherfuckers, man. We hit so many damn licks. Shit was kinda ridiculous. This quote was kinda the catalyst of the 1970 Controlled Substance Act, which was the consolidation of over 200 previous drug laws into a single statute governing the production and distribution of specific substances. Under the Controlled Substance Act, drugs were categorized into 5 schedules based on their potential for abuse and medical utility. This streamlined the process of drafting and amending laws to encompass entire groups of drugs rather than addressing each one individually. Schedule 1 drugs, the most rigorously regulated, were classified as having no recognized medical value, so obviously medical marijuana must have been like the lowest schedule, right? Wrong! Despite evidence indicating a lower risk of abuse and clear medical benefits, marijuana was still placed under Schedule 1. Research has demonstrated its effectiveness in treating conditions such as AIDS, cancer, epilepsy, and various other medical ailments. But I guess Congress was still like, it's not the Lord's loud. It's the devil's lettuce. Since its initial prohibition, there have been ongoing movements advocating for the legalization of cannabis, which in the 1970s pressure to legalize weed intensified in California. Proposition 19 aimed to legalize the grass and was introduced on the ballot in 1972, but garnered only 33% of the vote, so it failed for now. The push for legalization has primarily focused on 3 distinct products: CBD, medical marijuana, and everybody's favorite, recreational marijuana. So finally in 1996, California became the pioneering state to overturn the prohibition of weed by legalizing medical marijuana, despite conflicting with the federal law, brah. Subsequently, in 2012, Colorado and Washington became the first states to legalize recreational weed use. Oh yeah. Yo bro, did you hear? Weed is finally legal. Really? Yeah bro, I just bought this from a store. Shit is wild. So you're telling me if I went down to my underground farm, harvest my 20 or so pounds of weed, then go to the university campus, set up a weed lemonade stand, and sell all of my lemonades to the students, I'm not a drug dealer and just a businessman? Nah, I think you can like have a couple grams, and your operation is still, well, not gonna lie bro, I got a wire and the FBI should be kicking your door in right about... Which brings us to today, where the ZA is still federally illegal and a Schedule 1 drug, and because of that, there really isn't a lot of research on it. Between 2000 and 2018, $1.56 billion was allocated to cannabis research, with half of this sum dedicated to investigating the potential adverse effects of the drug in recreational use. This disproportionate allocation meant that understanding the harms of weed received 20 times more funding than any other area of research, while only a fraction, less than $5 million, was directed towards enhancing our understanding of its therapeutic application. In 2018 though, the Farm Bill legalized CBD throughout the US, as long as it followed the rules of staying below 0.3% THC, which this Farm Bill turned out to have a shit ton of legal loopholes, making the sale of real weed online completely legal and possible. More on that later. Anyway, because of the lack of research and, well, frankly awful regulations, we are currently in the wild west of the cannabis industry. You might assume buying weed from a big brand is safer than, let's say, your friendly neighborhood plug, and in some cases it might be, but a lot of times your plug is selling the same shit a dispensary is, just the dispensary is putting it in a fancy bag. Even worse, there's a big issue with sprayed weed, which basically means bud that is artificially flavored in a machine to give the illusion of it being some exotic Havana pack, when in reality it's just a mid sprayed with banana flavor. So you're telling me this eighth costs $100 because it was grown and harvested in Uganda, Africa, right next to the exotic banana farms, and that's why it's banana flavor? Yup. Then why is there a spray bottle right there labeled banana?
Why are you asking so many questions, man?
Are you a cop? What? No. Guys, get over here. We gotta kill this guy. But you can't fully blame the growers and dispensaries for this. The problem is the regulations and taxes that are put on these products are so hefty it makes turning a profit really hard. Basically, if your manufacturing cost isn't like at least 10 times less what you're selling it for, you're kinda screwed. There's also a multi-billion-dollar industry that spawned from the 2018 Farm Bill called the derivative industry. And if you don't know what derivatives are, they're basically weed, but sometimes altered chemically. Like for example, HHC, which is just THC but with an extra hydrogen molecule. The most insane derivative is THCA though, which is quite literally just weed. Only in its normal state before you heat it, it isn't. It's only after when you light it that shit converts to regular old, get you smacked like a penguin THC. Which, you know, unless your main method of getting high is sticking the nug up your ass. What I'm saying is, THCA is in every sense just THC when you are using it for the purpose of getting faded, which you probably are. But just because we are currently in the wild west of the weed industry, doesn't mean it's gonna be like this forever. More and more countries are legalizing and propelling weed further and further away from the dark shadow it used to be under. Germany is legalizing on April 1st, 2024, Spain has social cannabis clubs, the Netherlands just legalized, Canada legalized, etc. It seems every year that goes by, more and more countries are legalizing, and especially in the US, once they start getting solid tax laws and regulations on the stuff, I think a lot of the problems I mentioned earlier will fix themselves. Honestly, this is very cool, and I do believe you and me will live long enough to one day witness a generation who grow up with weed being looked at the same way as alcohol. The way I see it, as the old generation of politicians and world leaders fades, the stigma surrounding weed will too. You can even see glimpses of it today, as a lot of politicians are using legal weed as a way to get your vote, which, you know, don't let that be your main motivation for voting for someone, but you know, it's a bonus.
Smoking alone. It's a lot different than smoking with a group because, well, you're alone, so it's exclusively your job to explore those high thoughts and piece together fun activities to enjoy the high. And if all goes well, you'll have a blast, scrolling shorts, playing games, watching movies, pondering the scale of the universe and how nothing actually matters. It's great! But it comes with a catch. You see, when you're with a group of friends, it's much easier to stay on subject and destroy the evil thoughts the grass might curse you with. So, in my experience, when I'm getting high alone, I usually smoke a bit less just cause being super mega high is 99% of the time best enjoyed with a group and not by yourself. Unfortunately, when I was a youngster, I hadn't discovered this. In fact, I accidentally got the highest I'd ever been up until that point. And the demons I faced that night made me who I am today. The story begins with a high schooler CBD bro who had planned a great adventure with the main homie Salamander and Ricky. Well, not a great adventure per se. We were gonna go to Salamander's place on Friday night and get absolutely obliterated off that Zaza. And for that, I had secured a whole gram of that exotic the Friday before. And although very tough, I fought the urge to blaze for a whole week just so we could demolish it all together in one night. And if you watch some of my older videos, you know Salamander had a bit of a funky home situation, so a lot of times his house was completely free, and this was supposed to be the case on this beautiful night as well. So you know your boy was excited as an 8-year-old on Christmas for this upcoming Friday night high extravaganza. But it all came crashing down when Salamander texted me, "Hey yo, my parents came home tonight and well, they found my bong, so I'm basically in the gulag now, so no smoke sesh tonight, nor probably the next night, nor, well, until they leave again. See you once I serve my time. LOL. A true tragedy. Our plans have been foiled by none other than Salamander's stinky old bong. I think you guys can see where this story is going. I had a whole gram of that fine exotic grass, and I've been holding myself back for a whole week in anticipation for the now cancelled high extravaganza. So here I was, standing in my shitty little dorm, filled with sorrow. I decided, screw it, I'ma just smoke alone. So I put my level 99 J-rolling skills to use, and after about 15 minutes of fumbling the spliff, I had done it. I rolled a J that was intended for free people, and headed outside to smoke it all by myself. After heading out, I went to my favorite park bench that was just outside the dormitory territory and started chipping away at the abomination I created. 1 puff, 2 puffs, 3 puffs. I was faded than a hoe. but nowhere near the fadedness I had been waiting for. I continued puffing away until I reached the halfway point and my mouth became drier than the Sahara Desert, bro. So I took a little break to try to figure out how high I truly was. As I stared into nothingness for a good minute, I felt my first person camera slowly pull away into third person, like I was in GTA 5 or something. And I have no shame in saying I didn't smoke the whole thing, cause I was starting to get a bit paranoid, so I took my half-smoked 1G spliff and headed back to my dorm. And bro, you know those creepy pictures that are creepy because they look familiar, like it's just a normal pic, but then you really look at them and realize they ain't normal? Yeah, well, that's how I felt when I walked through the hallway leading to my room. But anyway, once I got to my room, I was still feeling paranoid. Like, it was weird cause I had never felt that way before from Za, and I think that's just cause when you get high with others, you're kinda comforted by the fact that you're not alone in the feeling of being absolutely smacked out of your mind. Thankfully, I did find some comfort in my favorite platform, YouTube. So I started watching some good vibey videos and slowly snapped out of my paranoid state, but was instantly greeted with a new problem. An uncontrollable sensation that if not satisfied will drive you right back to where you started. I'm talking of course about the munchies. So I gathered my strength and started walking to the closest store, and once I arrived, well, I ain't even gonna lie, my wallet was at the mercy of the Za, bro. So basically every food item I saw, my brain went, bro, see those Twinkies? That shit looks bussin'. Yeah, I know, but it's $4 and I already got like $25 worth of stuff in my car.
Nah, bruh. Screw all that. You buy this fucking bag of Twinkies or I'm giving you a panic attack right here, right now, bro.
Okay, I'll buy the Twinkies.
Yeah, of course you will. Well, while you're at it, take that cheese sauce for the nachos too.
Okay, I will. After my brain finished ganking the shit out of my wallet, I went back to my room and started demolishing everything I bought. And after that whole munch sesh, I was feeling a lot less high too, but also my stomach was a bit upset, so I took a massive dump, laid down on my bed, and started scrolling shorts. And I scrolled and scrolled until I passed out without even brushing my teeth and still in my clothes. So you can imagine the next day, I had a bit of a kush hangover, feeling like Shrek, haziness, and overall being slower mentally, but hey, no regrets, cause my brain wasn't lying about those Twinkies, goddamn. 10,000 BC, a group of cavemen in the Oki Islands of Japan needed some warmth and wanted to start a fire when they discovered a funny looking green plant, and either out of curiosity or desperation took it and inadvertently created history's first ever hotbox. Yet this early grass was not that loud that people be smoking today, because as we know, over the years the Za has been scientifically and artificially cultivated to be much more concentrated in the high it gives. So, although it is funny to think about a group of cavemen purposely starting a fire in a small shelter for the sole purpose of getting faded in a hoe, it is unlikely that it actually ever happened. Yet aside from this iffy recreational stint in Japan, hemp was first commonly used in the lands that are modern day Mongolia and China for more practical uses like eating it. Which, after saying that, you might be imagining something like this. Yo, what's up? How you doing? Had any fun with those new seeds I gave you? Yo, nah, I actually came here to give them back. Last night I was looking at the moon and I swear that motherfucker was looking right back at me. But alas, this probably wasn't the reality because the THC levels in this early cultivated Zaza were just really low, but soon the Chinese would discover that the holy plant's fibers were also great for making stuff too, like clothes, paper, and bowstrings. Which turns out hemp fibers were superior to the bamboo ones used by rivaling factions, allowing the Chinese to shoot their arrows much further. So basically, back in the day, if you were having a long distance bow battle and were losing, you might have screamed out, "We need to get closer! These motherfuckers have weed!" Anyway, it wasn't long after mofos realized that the loud wasn't only good for making stuff, it was also great for treating physical maladies. And after a couple thousand years, Emperor Shen Nung, known as the father of Chinese medicine, included the magic plant in his medical encyclopedia under the name Ma. Which, that sounds oddly similar to Za, doesn't it? I'm guessing every couple thousand years the first letter changes or something. But now, let's explore the question we're all asking. When exactly did mofos start ripping that shit to
get faded? Well, one of the earliest counts is about 2,500 years ago, when researchers discovered 10 mini barbecues in a cemetery near modern-day Tajikistan that had residue of burnt cannabis with a much higher concentration of THC than normal, probably meaning it was selectively bred to get you, well, lit. Although this was one of the first counts of people purposely inhaling the broccoli to get high, it was most likely used as part of a ritual to invoke an altered state of mind so you could communicate with spirits. Which shit, dog, I wanna know what these dudes were smoking, cause I ain't never heard of no grass that gets you to the spirit realm. This might have low-key been the last kush Snoop Dogg smoked, cause once you get so high you start communicating with your dead gran, that's when you really might be like, okay, I think it's about time I stop smoking this shit. Since cannabis, for one reason or another, proved to be quite the useful plant, people started trading it around the world as soon as it was domesticated. Which the only people who didn't really fuck with the Zaza were Europeans, who preferred getting hammered instead. Which is low-key reflected in modern times too, especially in the northern countries where once you turn 18, you can drink as much poison as you want, but if you want to blaze, well, you might be looking at a little bit of jail time, my boy. But now, let's quickly go over the uses of cannabis throughout different cultures so we can move on to the modern age, starting with Hindus. They made something called Bang, an edible cannabis paste that had medicinal properties but also got you high. This could be added to a variety of foods and drinks, which this Bang was the preferred food of the Hindu god Shiva, making him in my eyes the god of edibles. Disclaimer, that was a joke.
Islam. Here the Za was called hashish and was introduced about 1,000 years ago, which hashish wasn't strictly forbidden in the Quran at first, so a lot of Muslims ate it for its medicinal and relaxation properties. But later, Egypt basically banned it, and also the Quran was revisited by many and reinterpreted to include hashish to be banned just like alcohol. The Vikings. These dudes basically used the Za to make rope, sailcloth, and other things, but also for its medicinal properties, mostly to relieve pain, and to date, there's no hard evidence that they consumed it for its recreational use, but you know, maybe they should have, because they were quite the horrendous savages and murderers, so it might have made them think a little bit about peace and love. But what about America, England, and the actual global world powers? How did they react to weed? Well, again, like the Chinese, Europeans and Americans at first prominently used the magic green plant in the 16th to 18th century for more practical things like making sailcloth and rope, which the plant itself grew much larger in the New World soil, and combined with the practicality of it, everything started being hemp-derived. Clothes, paper, well, basically anything that required fibers. But the question still remains, when did mofos start smoking that shit to get blasted on the regular? Cause although at some point you, your neighbor, your grandma, your boss, and even George Washington were out here growing weed, wasn't nobody out here rolling them up. Well, until the arrival of Mexicans. The loud version of hemp first arrived in Brazil in the early 1500s by way of enslaved Africans traveling with the Portuguese. And the native South Americans, who are already consuming some other psychoactive substances, quickly started blazing the Zaza too, and its use soon spread across South America and into Mexico, from which in the 1910s is when the loud first spread into the US, via Mexican immigrants escaping the effects of the Mexican Revolution. And almost immediately the good was viewed as a threat, and by 1931, 29 states had banned its use. Although it wasn't really the Zaza that the US didn't fall with, it was unfortunately mostly just racism against Mexican Americans and black citizens of the South, which both these groups were enjoyers of the Za to some regard, so it became a scapegoat for racial bias in the US, and they blamed it for everything from petty crimes all the way to murder. And in 1937, the US completely banned all non-medical use of weed, which all of this kind of explains why the mostly peaceful plant has been thrown in the same Schedule 1 category with full-on life-destroying substances like heroin and cocaine. But thankfully, a couple decades later came the hippie movement of the 1960s to 1970s. This is what lightly sparked the comeback for weed, cause unlike before, when the Zaza was mostly smoked by Mexican immigrants and black citizens who the US was massively racist against, the hippie movement had middle-class white American youth start blazing too. Which it was all about love, peace, spirituality, non-violence, and of course, every hippie's favorite, recreational drug use. Although most hippies were all about peace and love, that was quite easy to say when most of them were literally privileged enough to drop out of college, run off with Cassandra in a rainbow van, go on copious amounts of mindset-altering trips, mostly powered by LSD, and then return 10 years later to their parents and have them say,
It's okay, son. I was young and stupid once too.
Anyway, although the grass was still federally illegal, this didn't really do much cause in 1976, 1 in 8 Americans over the age of 12 admitted to smoking it in the past 30 days. Hippies though were especially interested in cannabis, so much so they went on something called the Hippie Trail, which was basically an excursion by the youths of the world to go over to the Middle East and India, all while riding in magic buses and discovering new ways to get absolutely blasted, such as smoking the concentrated Zaza resin known as hash. But acquiring the Zaza would soon get much harder, because you see, most of it came from Mexico, so in 1969 the US started patrolling the border, and in 1975 they got even more aggressive and started spraying herbicide on Mexican wheat plants. And so good old supply and demand made grass prices skyrocket, which a lot of people started then growing the plant themselves in mini greenhouses, closets, bathtubs, storage units, basements, wherever they could. But then in 1982, Mr. Smarty Pants Ronald Reagan took it even a step further by encouraging the streamlined arrest of anyone in possession of an illegal substance, which was really dumb because most of the focus was on pot, all while crack, meth, and heroin were all still being transported and consumed on a regular basis. Even worse, this enforcement seemed to be racially motivated because despite plenty of traffickers and consumers being white, the majority of arrests were Latino and black youths, all while this bizarre over-focus on cannabis allowed the growing opioid epidemic to go unchecked. But thankfully, the US is slowly learning from their mistakes, where today 24 states have legalized the recreational use of marijuana. On top of that, the increased level of research on it has also found multiple medical use cases and can be prescribed to you by special doctors if seen fit. And although the Zaza is still federally illegal and a Schedule 1 drug, the overall perception of it has changed for the better, including in December 2022 when President Biden signed a bill to make it easier for researchers to obtain plants for their studies, which will hopefully accelerate the learning of positive and negative side effects of consuming the ZA even further. But all that aside, the overall vibe towards the loud has gotten a lot more accepting, and these days more and more people view the smoking of the grass not as you being a junkie, but the same way as having a couple beers with the homies on a Friday night and watching some WWE.